Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the beautiful Homestead-Miami Speedway in South Florida for tonight's running of the SimPossible Racing League Big Car Series Championship Finale, where not only will these drivers be racing for one final shot at a win, but four will be racing for the privilege of being the inaugural B Car Series champion. I'm Cameron Rich here with Peter Short and special guest league regular Chris Roberge in the booth, as well as Carlos Costa manning those cameras as always. But let's go ahead and get it underway with words with some of our final four drivers, beginning with Fernando Matos. Let's see if we can get a quick word with him, find him somewhere around here. Hey, Fernando Matos, this is Cameron Rich in the booth. You got a quick word for us before we get underway?
Copy. What up, Cameron?
I'm doing pretty well, man. You are part of this final four in the championship hunt, so you got to be pretty excited here. Looking pretty good out there. You are currently, I believe, P7 on the practice charts, but how are you looking forward to this race tonight? Do you have a strategy in mind?
I'm excited. I mean, it went way over my expectations for the season. It's such a competitive field, so I'm really proud to be in the final four. And yes, I tried to save the car early and tried to be there for the last restart.
All right, man. Well, you definitely had a good season so far. You got your first win in the SimPossible Racing League at Daytona, I believe, in that wild finish. And, we're back in Florida, so maybe that will speak for some good luck for you. But definitely want to wish you the best of luck tonight, and definitely go out there and give the number 17 a good run for me. So
thank you, man, and thank you for everybody watching and supporting the number 17. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely, man. We'll let you go and get into qualifying. Let these guys get their laps in real quick, and we'll get some interviews right after that. But while we're in qualifying, we have Chris Roberge here in the booth, like we said already. Chris, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Well, I'm doing very well here, Cam.
Pretty good to have you in the booth with us tonight. Definitely going to be a fun night. We're going to crown a champion here at this racetrack. I love this racetrack. I used to hate this racetrack for some personal reasons, but I love this racetrack now. It's a very good, very fun racetrack to race at. I'd say it's the perfect oval, almost. How do you feel about this place?
Well, I ran a few times in official race here. It's tough, as it does get loose on certain corners here. All you gotta do is just have to take it really easy on the corners. You can't just go full throttle around. It's just, you gotta take it really easy because it will kick you out. Get your car slide on the turn 4 most likely, because that's where most action will be at.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a pretty tough racetrack to race at, and it's a progressively banked racetrack, so there will be multiple grooves tonight. You'll see these drivers racing all over the racetrack, especially with the new day-to-night transitions on the iRacing service. So there's Eddie Hawks there on the track right now. He was actually tied for 4th in practice with one of our Championship 4, Kyle Zimmer, so he's coming through 3 and 4 right now, trying to, I believe, finish his lap time up, see what kind of a lap time he's able to put down for his hot lap. 31.267, so almost matches his practice time. Good lap to start there. There's Fernando Matos on the screen right there in that brightly colored number 17. Definitely won't miss that one out on the racetrack tonight. So hopefully, we just talked to him. He's going to hopefully have a good run here tonight. He is one of our Championship 4, like we've already said. So Fernando Matos, very popular driver in the SimPossible Racing League, has a lot of fans and family that come out to watch his races. And I know he's going to try to make them all proud. Currently, right now, the fastest driver on the qualifying sheets right now is Tanner Sharp, who actually matched Eddie Hawks this time. But apparently that 4th digit that we are not privy to information for was faster for Tanner Sharp than Eddie Hawks there. But as I say that, Fernando Matos actually goes P1 at 31.211, so he improves his practice time by about a 1/10 of a second. So good pickup there. There's Dave Wilson, another one of our Championship 4 drivers, just beginning his lap. Going into turn number 1 and 2, trying to ride that seam around the racetrack and try to keep those left side tires right around there. That is where the grip at this racetrack is, so you kind of want to see if you can on fresh tires, try to ride that seam and not overdrive the corners. That's such an easy thing to do at this racetrack. You really want to charge the corners and drive it down in there. But this surface is pretty old, Chris. You really can't do that like you could at some other tracks.
No, you cannot. For first time, you have to get your tires warmed up first. Yeah, of course. What other thing too? You just first lap, you take it easy. Then the second lap, the tires will get warmed up after a while.
New P1 right there. Kyle Zimmer in the 25 machine goes P1 with a 31.177 lap time. So he's got a couple hundred a second over Fernando Matos right there. Dave Wilson actually, what some might consider the lap time he put up a little bit disappointing. He is only 7th place, 31.368 for him. So he is currently the last of the Championship 4 contenders. One of those has not qualified yet, I believe. We have Kyle Zimmer, Fernando Matos, and Dave Wilson of our Championship 4 having taken time right now. But let's go ahead and get a word with Dave Wilson. He's already completed his lap time. Actually, I don't think we can. Dave Wilson is apparently not available for an interview right now. So there's another one of our Championship 4, AJ Digby, on his lap right there, coming through 3 and 4 to, I believe, start his lap. I don't think this is actually, yes, he will be finishing his lap time up right now, so my apologies there. Across the line, kind of a lap time is he 31.131, so P1 for AJ Digby. He usurps Kyle Zimmer at the top of the board, and he's going to currently be your provisional pole sitter. Probably going to be pretty happy about that one. A very good lap time right there. Actually, a little bit slower than his practice time, but to no matter of himself right now. See a couple of other views from this beautiful Homestead-Miami Speedway. See if we can find AJ Digby for a quick word.
Actually, Dave Wilson's available too.
All right, AJ Digby. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring them both down here real quick. All right, AJ Digby and Dave Wilson, we both got you in the booth for a quick word right before we start this race, being some of our Championship 4 contenders. First off, I want to ask you, AJ, how are you looking forward to this race? You just went P1 on the board, so you got to be feeling pretty good about this.
Yeah, I felt pretty bad all week, to be honest. In practice was really slow, and just earlier today jumped into a practice session, changed something up, and found a little bit of speed. So I'm hoping that'll carry over and be able to progress throughout the race and stay clean and hopefully have a clean car to be able to race at the finish.
Yeah, you've been a very fast driver on the one lap side of things in the season. 7 poles to your credit, but only 1 win. That all really doesn't matter at all tonight because this is the race that matters, and you've had a fantastic season, nonetheless, even with some bad luck here and there. But definitely starting off on the right foot. You got any things you're worried about for this race, or are you just kind of going to go out there and run it like any other one? Excuse me.
Kind of just have to go for it and hope luck's on my side. I've been on the wrong side of it too many times, but can't really let it bother me. Just have to go out and try to run my race and it'll work out.
All right, AJ. Well, best of luck for you tonight, and definitely starting off on the right foot. We'll let you get back into your car real quick because we are gridding. And real quick, got a word with Dave Wilson, currently starting in 8th position, so probably not where you want to start off tonight, Dave, but I know you're probably not too worried about that. Race pace is the important one here tonight. What are you looking for tonight?
I'm just gonna try to do my best, race my race, and just hopefully try to get a good finish out of this. These guys are definitely faster than me tonight, as you can kind of tell at the moment. But I'm just gonna try to hope that my experience on the longer runs kind of helps me out tonight. But if not, then well, congratulations to the winner of the championship. But I'm definitely gonna do my best to try to win this one tonight.
Yeah, pretty much all you can do, but I have seen you all over the season. You got 9 wins to your credit, so I don't think, from a commentator's perspective, it's not down and out yet. Race pace is what matters here, and you definitely have the talent to show for that. But I want to wish you the best of luck, Dave. We're about to be getting going, about to be rolling here in just a moment. So, fantastic season either way, and it's been a pleasure kind of watching you clean up the field from week to week.
Thank you.
All right, well, see if we can get a word with Kyle Zimmer in the race. But unfortunately, the time did not work out for us to get him, but he is currently starting second place tonight, right next to the pole sitter AJ Digby. So we did see how those two race in the first season, or the second season of the Truck Series. It came down to those two at the end of this track. So I believe Peter Short, who we haven't really heard of tonight, has actually just entered the booth with some food. Peter, how are you looking forward to tonight's race?
I am very much looking forward to this race. I mean, everyone circles the last race on the calendar from the very beginning of the season back at Daytona, and it is an absolute pleasure to watch the sunset here, not only over the Homestead-Miami Speedway, but also on the SimPossible B-Car Series Championship here tonight.
Definitely going to be a fantastic one. We're working through turns 3 and 4 right now. You see that pace car going to make the hard left turn onto pit road. Of course, these drivers cannot do that. They have to use the access road right down there on the inside of the racetrack. But of course, after 133 laps tonight, this championship will be finalized. Into the pit road the pace car goes, and green flag out here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. The last race of this 33 race B-Car Series season begins now. Good start for everybody in the field. No issues to report of just yet. But into turn number 1, AJ Digby on that inside line is going to take an early lead. Already 3 wide behind them. Tim Masters, I believe that's Tanner Sharp and Eddie Hawks going at it right now. That's going to be a tough position for Dave Wilson. First, we talked about him not starting where he wanted to tonight, but he's already making moves up towards the front. He's already up to the 6th position and definitely wants more.
Yeah, definitely very good out of all these drivers. I mean, it is a stacked field up at the front with AJ Digby, Kyle Zimmer, and Fernando Matos. And, of course, Dave Wilson now finding himself in the 7th position. Keep an eye on that Porcupine's number 3 machine of Tanner Sharp here tonight. Not in the running for the championship, but, you know, Tanner is always fast around these racetracks. And that number 3 machine, of course, on a charge after coming back from surgery. In fact, last night he was actually in the 3-wide TV booth when we broadcasted a championship finale for the American Sim Racing Series. So it's great to have Tanner Sharp both back in the booth here on 3-wide TV and on the racetrack as he is right now.
Yeah, making a move around the outside of Dave Wilson, and you saw them get a little bit close into turn number 3. Of course, no contact, but he's looking on the outside of Eddie Hawks as well. Peter, you know this track is very, very tough on tires. After about 10 laps, these drivers are going to be fighting for grip, so might be seeing a couple drivers out there kind of saving their tires, trying to make them last towards the end of the race. I think that number 20 of Dave Wilson probably thinking about that himself, because he didn't start where he wanted to. He started a little bit further back in the field, so you know, maybe the best strategy for him would just be take it a little bit easy for now.
Yeah, just take it a little bit easy and ride, but I'm going to ask you, Chris, on a racetrack like this with variable banking, how difficult is it to actually pull off a pass because you just don't have much grip down low?
It's very tough. That's so you don't get that much speed going down below. You do pass sometimes, but you just can't. You can't be there all the time. It just slows you down more.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've experienced as a driver on a variable banked racetrack, actually getting frustrated with not being able to pass the car around you just because there's just no banking down there. You might be faster than the other car running the same line, but when you have to go searching for a little bit of pace, it can sometimes work against you. As you see Eddie Hawks, the number 45 machine, down there on the inside groove, trying to get around Tim Masters, and this is kind of what I've been talking about. Masters might just be a little bit slower than that number 45 machine right now. Eddie Hawks just trying to make that move on the inside groove, just hasn't been able to make it work yet. But we're still in the early runnings here at Homestead-Miami. There's still plenty of time. And Cameron, last night in the American Sim Racing Series, we saw the cars, or the trucks I should say, get extremely loose after about 10 laps. And any indication that these cars are starting to loosen up out there?
You know, I heard from a lot of drivers in practice that these cars were actually a little bit tighter than they were expecting. With these new B cars that were introduced a couple of races ago, a lot of drivers were saying they were expecting the car to be loose, but they were actually getting a little bit tight. So definitely something to be looking out for. Ooh, pretty close there for Tanner Sharp, almost in the outside wall. Actually hits it right there, so not going to be good for that number 3's hopes at getting another win on the season. Of course, him and Dave Wilson fighting for the title of the, I guess you said last week, Golden Steering Wheel, Peter, the fight for the most wins on the season, both with 9, so going to be fighting for that. But of course, all those drivers behind our top 3, AJ Digby, Kyle Zimmer, and Fernando Matos, all drivers in the championship hunt, so definitely you are seeing the cream rise to the top. Dave Wilson currently back in the 6th position, but has made moves toward the front. But, you know, Peter, even though we are talking about the championship 4 a lot here tonight, you know, you can't count out the drivers like Tim Masters, Eddie Hawks, and Tanner Sharp, because they have a lot to race for as well. They are trying to end the season on a good note, of course, for Eddie Hawks and Tim Masters, trying to get a win on the series, I believe. I don't believe either driver has been able to do that yet, but kind of trying to get this series off, or end the series off on a good note and start off 2020 with some momentum.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Getting a win here in the season finale is what any driver wants to do to kind of springboard themselves. And of course, there's no stopping this SimPossible League. Next year, they're going to be moving over to the A car, which is going to be pretty awesome to see them running the Cup cars around these racetracks as we see a side-by-side battle back here. We saw it briefly there, Billy Wise and the number 80 of James Efall, but we do have one car on pit road. That's the number 99 of Johnny Berardi getting a late start. He actually has yet to turn a lap here, already finding himself about 9 laps down, which is good to see that he's here. He's definitely going to go out there on the racetrack, have some fun, turn some laps, and that's really what the SimPossible League is all about. And Chris, I kind of want to ask you, I mean, you've been now at the SimPossible Racing League for quite some time. Just how important is this league and this group of drivers to you?
Well, it just puts up there, right? So it's really nice to have this wonderful group here. It's just like there's no put downs, there's no anything bad about us. We're all having a good time here, and that's all we can ask for. Everybody else is really good people, but these are the greatest people here.
Yeah, and you mentioned there that's a place where you can go out and have some fun, and that's what Johnny Berardi's going to do. He's multiple laps down, but he's going to go out there, have a good time, and if he gets lucky, a couple of cautions, he might be able to get some of those laps back, and by the end of tonight, possibly even be in contention. You never know what can happen in racing, because sometimes it just so happens to work out in your favor, but we ride on board with the number 20 machine of Dave Wilson. He's still mired back there, Cameron, in the 6th position, but he's starting to make a little bit of headway on the number 9 machine of Tim Masters in front of him.
Yeah, he's been rolling them pretty slowly lap by lap, but I think we were correct in him saying that he's probably out there just kind of taking it easy right now. Of course, this is a pretty long race, 133 laps, and these races at Homestead tend to go pretty caution-free. So actually, as we say that, here's a battle for second. Fernando Matos and Kyle Zimmer. The number 17 has been flying these last few laps. He's been the fastest car on the racetrack, so whatever that number 17 driver is doing is working, because he is very quick out there, and heard Fernando kind of say that he has exceeded all of his expectations for this year. Of course, got that win back in Daytona and found himself in the championship 4 and is trying to make the most of it. He's definitely doing a good job of it.
Yeah, and we can't forget who Fernando Matos has at the top of his pit box here tonight, Will Wurzler, who last night in the ASRS series, he was one of the fastest trucks out there on the racetrack. And so definitely having someone like Will Wurzler on the top of the box will be helping out Matos as he spots him around this racetrack. This is a good battle further back in the pack between the number 57 of Tom Johnson and the 66 of Brian Lowhead. This is a battle currently going on for the 12th position. I believe that number 57's got a really good run through the corner, but as I say that high line continues to stay strong. Oh, second place, Fernando Matos has made the move on Kyle Zimmer. So move Matos up into the 2nd position. He'll see if he can close in on AJ Digby. You see Matos got a really good run coming out of turn number 2, used that muscle down the backstretch in that Ford Mustang, and just drove it off into turn number 3 and said, hey buddy, I'm here to play. I'm here to go out and win this championship. Good run here by Fernando.
I'm not really surprised either, Peter, because this racetrack seems to reward people who are good at road courses. And we know Fernando Matos is he's kind of a bred road course racer. That's kind of where he started before he got into ovals. And this racetrack rewards consistency and hitting your marks lap after lap, and that's definitely what a road course skill set kind of comprises. So I think Fernando Matos, we've seen AJ Digby be good at the road courses as well, and he's out there in the lead by about a second over Fernando right now. So definitely kind of seeing those different skill sets come up to the top.
Also very interesting to note that the fastest car on the racetrack right now is actually Eddie Hawkson, the number 45 machine, in the 4th position. Over the last 5 laps, he's been actually about a 10th or so faster than AJ Digby, and Fernando Matos has been the 3rd fastest car, just a little bit slower than AJ Digby, but now he's got a little bit of clean air on the front end of that number 17 Ford Mustang. We'll have to see if he can close in on Digby's number 14 machine. There is Eddie Hawkson, the 45. You see he's closed in on the back bumper of Kyle Zimmer. We'll keep an eye on that battle, but there is your race leader, the Zulu Motorsports 14 of AJ Digby here, now working lap number 17 of 133. And Chris, fairly long race tonight. There's a lot on these drivers' minds. What do you kind of do when you have a fairly long race like this? Do you like to take it easy early on, or are you one of those drivers who wants to get to the front as fast as they can?
Well, one, I'm trying to get up there as fast as I could, and then after a while, just take it really easy. If you're have a good, decent lead up ahead of everybody, just take it really easy with them and all that. So it's gonna be a super long race. Green flag here for them.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of interesting to hear that you're one of those drivers who likes to get up to the front. I'm the same way, man. I want to make passes. If I'm in the back of the pack, I'm like a horse with a carrot out front, man. If I see a car in front of me, I go for that pass as soon as possible. And you definitely have some drivers on the other hand that just decide, hey, it's early in the race. If I lose a spot, no big deal. I can make it back later. But when you're in a group of competitive race car drivers, looks like 45 Eddie Hawks might have gotten a little bit sideways there coming out of turn number 4. As looked like Nate
same with
Catilla in the
Kyle
4.
was getting a little loose there too.
So maybe we're starting to see these race cars loosen up here as we're now working lap number 20 of this green flag run. Yet to see a caution, and there's the number 3 of Tanner Sharp. Now Tanner Sharp, you remember, Cameron, Tanner hit the wall coming out of turn number 4, and you see that rear end damage. That actually was from the same accident. Nate Catilla had nowhere to go, and when that number 3 machine hit the wall, it kind of just wall glued him. And Catilla had nowhere to go. Ran into the back of the number 3. Oh, the number
trouble!
10 Masters is around rumor caution here at Homestead-Miami. That is not what that number 9 machine was looking for. Looks like he doesn't have any damage, which is good news, but we'll see what happened here, Cameron.
Yeah, it looks like he was coming through turns 3 and 4 right there, and off of turn number 4, that car just stepped sideways. So definitely, Peter, I think we can safely say that turn 4 is going to be Calamity Corner tonight. Judging by based on my experience as well, that corner gets very slick on old tires. So definitely gonna have to watch for that. As the night progresses on, and it might become a little bit better once the sun sets a little bit more. But right now, it just looks pretty tough for these guys.
Yeah, in fact, it was turn number 4 last night that we saw a lot of spins in the American Sim Racing Series. So I think it's pretty much the same deal. Like you said, that corner is starting to get a little bit slippery here after about 20 or so laps. But I do know that all of your lead lap cars will be on pit road this time. I'm sure they'll take 4 fresh tires. And Chris, when your race car gets to get a little bit slippery, I mean, there's nothing better than 4 fresh tires, am I right?
Yeah, 4 tires all the time. You can't go 2 on any tires because you will actually lose on corners for sure.
Of course, we've seen you do some gambles this year in the SimPossible Racing League. Taking 2 tires here and there to get some track position. I know track position is important on some tracks, but with a track as wide and fast as Homestead-Miami, I would expect drivers to more often than not elect on the side of caution and take the 4 tires, as especially after a 20-lap run. You see all of those lead lap cars now on pit road. And just to kind of highlight the fall off, guys, they fell off about a second per lap over that 20-lap run. Their fastest lap in this race is currently held by Tanner Sharp, I do believe. No, that's not correct. Kyle Zimmer, fastest lap at 202, excuse me. And the last 5 laps, they were 1.4 seconds slower than that on average. So pretty big fall off here at Homestead-Miami. But AJ Digby was the first car off pit road, and it does look like we did have a couple drivers stay out. One of those drivers being the number 80 machine of Kevin Cochran. And Cameron, got to be careful not to pass the pace car here on the pit road entry. That's definitely one thing you have to worry about with this long pit entry.
Yeah, because you have to use that access road, a bit of a misconstruction by iRacing there, to be honest. But you're so far down there on below the racetrack that it's kind of hard to see where the pace car is. So it's just one of those things that you kind of have to be mindful of. And another thing is I'm seeing that number 20 of Dave Wilson there currently in the 3rd position fourth car on screen behind the three of Tanner Sharp, AJ Digby, and Kyle Zimmer. So it was a really good pit stop for that car. He was able to gain 2 spots on pit road and get himself right into the thick of things. We were talking about him being a little bit out of contention, or not really out of contention, but just not really able to get spots as quickly as he might wanted to. But he's been able to leapfrog himself past Eddie Hawks and Fernando Matos.
Yeah, very good stop for that number 20 bunch. And Chris, clean air is very, very important on these race cars. And do you think possibly Dave was suffering with the fact that he was behind a couple cars getting dirty air?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just you really have to try and drop off a couple of people because that's all you need sometimes, or sometimes you need dirty air. It's hard to say because sometimes you drafting on these cars are actually do work really well. I have tried it a few times. It's tough, but you get there with them. You stick with them all the time, and that's all you could do.
Yeah, and I know Cameron kind of, with dirty air, your car tends to be a little bit tighter. You don't have as much grip, but sometimes being behind a car, being a little bit tighter is sometimes to your advantage. I know there have been times where I got used to running behind a car, and then I jump out, and all of a sudden my race car is a lot looser. So Cameron, I know you've probably experienced that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it does weird wacky things, like you're behind another car and you're a little bit tight. You put a little bit more wheel in it, then it just snaps loose. So that air kind of does weird things here and there, and it really can throw a wrench into just everything that you're trying to do with a race car. Sometimes it just kind of is a pain in the butt trying to drive around it. But drivers will always get used to it. They'll always just find a way to drive around it, and it usually isn't too huge of a problem. It's just annoying.
Well, we have just over 100 laps to go. We'll have 108 to go when we go back to green flag racing. And do want to make note of the current track temperature. It's currently sitting at 84 degrees Fahrenheit, air temperature 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And you see that wind at 9 miles per hour from the southeast, and that's kind of an interesting thing. We saw last night in the American Sim Racing Series that it was actually gusting almost 20 miles an hour, and it caused a lot of havoc in turn number 4. So I'm interested to see if that wind speed has any effect as well here tonight. But the green flag once again in the air here at Homestead-Miami. The first caution of the race is now in the rear, and we're off into turn number 1. Good restart by the number 14 of AJ Digby there. He's going to clear the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer going through turn number 1 and 2, but the battle is right behind him for the second position. At least it was, as Dave Wilson's going to slot in behind the number 25 machine. And unfortunately, this kind of round of pit stops didn't go to plan for Fernando Matos, as he's now slid back into the 5th position behind Eddie Hawks.
Yeah, Eddie Hawks currently playing championship spoiler kind of. He's right up there in the middle of that top 4 battle and doing a very good job of that. Of course, that number 45 is pretty fast after night. Started in the 5th position and has kind of stayed up there all night. But yeah, battle for second here, Kyle Zimmer and Dave Wilson. We were talking about Dave Wilson a little while ago, not looking up to form. But of course, you can't count out a guy with 9 wins on the season ever, and Kyle Zimmer right there able to hold his position. But on board here with Fernando Matos right behind that number 45. That 17, I gotta say, was probably one of the faster cars on the long run. So Peter, even though he might not be looking too hot right now, back there in the 5th position after being up to 2nd, you gotta kind of think about where he was before the caution. Just kind of, if you're Fernando, you kind of gotta just do what you were doing before and try to make that happen again. Save your tires and try to be fast on that long run.
Yeah, Fernando was definitely very, very quick on that long run. And, going back to your statement that you made, that this racetrack is usually pretty good for road course racers. One of the key things that road course racers tend to do is back up your corner. And I've noticed a couple of the drivers, Eddie Hawks as well, is backing up his corner. That means a little bit slower on entry, a little bit slower to the apex. But as soon as they hit that apex, they hit the gas a little bit sooner than the other cars, and it usually tends to save the right front, as it looks like the number 9 machine, Tim Masters, throwing up some sparks there on entry into turn number 3. So we'll keep an eye on that, and also keep an eye on this number 3 machine, Perky Pints machine of Tanner Sharp. He was 1 lap down because, remember, he pitted under the green flag to repair some damage. He's now back on the lead lap and working his way up through the field, currently running inside the top 10 in the 10th position.
Yeah, and here's a battle with Billy Wise. I believe that's the number 9 of Tim Masters. We saw Tim Masters sideways in turn 4 to bring out the first and only caution of the night, but been able to make his way back up to the 9th position under fire with Billy Wise there. Good battle there off of turn number 4, and there's that purple Perky Pints machine there of Tanner Sharp right behind them. So you know he's going to want to get himself back up to the field and kind of challenge for that the title of the Golden Steering Wheel winner. Like you said, Peter, trying to get that 10th win on the season and kind of just, even though he's not in the championship hunt, of course, Tanner Sharp has had a eventful past couple months, of course, having surgery and being kind of knocked out of the playoff hunt because of that. And, he's going to want to come out here and make a statement tonight and just and try to get that win on the season and just put a period on 2019 and have a lot of momentum going into 2020. I think he's going to be one of the ones to watch.
Yeah, and I know for Tanner Sharp, he had that surgery, and he always kind of thought that surgery might have been a thing, and it was kind of a matter of when he was going to have the surgery. And the good news about that is he's got it out of the way. It was successful. He's back in the race car. So hopefully in 2020, he can look forward to running the entire season without having that in the back of his mind. Might I miss a few races because of this, whatnot. So definitely, I'm sure he's looking forward to next year as he has now moved up into the 9th position. But back up at the front, you see the number 14 of AJ Digby being trailed quite closely by the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer. And Zimmer hasn't allowed AJ Digby to get away this time like he did last time. Of course, we only have about 10 laps on these tires, only been green for about 7, probably 8 complete laps now at the stripe. But that number 25 definitely showing a little bit more pace under this run than he did last run. And I'll ask you, Chris, when you're a race car driver and you're running laps out there, after you've completed 10 or 20 laps behind another very fast race car, how much do you learn just following some of the other race cars out there?
Well, one is just because it's trying to know their lines so you can at least keep up with them all the time. That's all you can do. Just try. Hopefully, you can. If they make a mistake, at least you're there. But if you're there to follow someone to know how they're doing it and stuff like that.
I know there have been races that I have won in the past by following a car for 2/3 of the race and saying, "All right, I figured out your trick. I know what you're doing better than I am," and incorporate that into my race pattern, and able to win races that way. So I'm not at all surprised that a driver like Kyle Zimmer might be doing the same here. There's the number 45, Eddie Hawks, currently sitting in the 4th position, and Cameron, that number 45, like you said, kind of trying to play spoiler here tonight, but we've seen a lot of pace out of this number 45 machine recently.
Yeah, he's one of the newer drivers in the league, and it has made a bit of an impact for himself, trying to get himself established in the kind of ranks per se. But definitely doing a good job out here tonight. Actually looking on Dave Wilson for that 3rd position. So maybe Dave Wilson thinking to himself, trying to. He might be good off to kind of let that 45 by and just do what you said, Peter. Kind of just let him by and see what he's doing a little bit differently. Race car drivers, some of those cunning people I know, they will do anything and everything in their power to kind of play tricks on one another, and that is one of the things that he could be thinking about. Of course, you don't ever want to let somebody by, but if it kind of might benefit you in the future, sometimes it might be a good idea. And there's that number 17 of Fernando Matos right behind these two going into turn number 1. He might be trying to kind of see what they're doing as well.
Yeah, good move by Eddie Hawks down there on the inside of Dave Wilson, trying to get that 3rd position. And like you said, Cameron, the number 17 of Fernando Matos just kind of wanted to see how that played out. He's going to go to the high side now, and he's just going to blow around the outside of the number 45 machine. At least it looked that way. Here we go, coming out of turn number 4. Will Fernando Matos hold on to that 4th position? It's going to be tight at the stripe, but at least for now, Fernando Matos is in the 4th position. And Cameron, at the stripe, last time by, your top 4 championship contenders, 1, 2, 3, 4 out in the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely the cream rising to the top. It's Fernando Matos. I think what he was doing, he was trying to get that 45 of Eddie Hawk to make a move on Dave Wilson so he could capitalize on both. Unfortunately for him, it is not able to work out this time by, but that is a move that I know that I have made in the past quite a bit. just kind of trying to use other cars as a pick. So he's going to keep that in mind for later on. Here's a battle between James Efaw and Tim Masters for the 7th position. Ooh, very close there. James Efaw in the 88 kind of cutting down on the 9 car down the front straightaway. He's running way up there on the wall, the junior line, like I like to call it there, through turns 1 and 2. But I think Tim Masters was sideways once again at turn number 2. Kind of a repeat of what we already saw. Sorry to cut you off there, Peter, but that number 9 car, we were talking about how these cars might be tight here tonight. That number 9 looks pretty loose.
Yeah, that number 9 machine does look quite loose. He does have a little bit of right front damage, which might be affecting the way that number 9 machine drives, but he's going to have to calm down those rear tires. I'm sure they're absolutely screaming, and we've mentioned this many times across this SimPossible B-Car Series season. If you get your rear tires hot, it can be a snowball effect. You just have to be a little bit patient with them next time so that you can calm them down. But this is a good side-by-side battle once again between the 45 of Eddie Hawks and Dave Wilson. And Wilson holding tough around the outside of that number 20 machine, at least for now. Hawks still on the inside. They're still side-by-side. And Fernando Matos is in the same position we saw him a few laps ago, just watching this battle right in front of him to see if he can go with one or the other, to see if he can pick up a spot. But can say that AJ Digby and Kyle Zimmer are starting to check out from this battle, and I'm sure this is what Kyle Zimmer wants to see in his rear. And Chris, when you are a race car driver pulling away from a intense side-by-side battle by this, you know, I bet you're pretty excited. Ooh, Matos in the wall.
Fernando just hit the wall.
Yeah, Matos hit the wall, and Eddie Hawks looks like, what happened to Eddie Hawks and
Trouble
Kyle
for Zimmer as well. The number 25 got really loose there off of turn number, I believe that was turn 2. But definitely a lot of action happening on this lap. Look here, actually that's turn number 4. Kyle Zimmer sideways. Oh my goodness, down to the grass. How did he keep control of that car? It's going to be one for the highlight reels. And then I believe the 45 was sideways as well. We'll see the replay right here. And that's going into turn number 3.
Fernando got loose again out of turn number 4. So these cars all of a sudden starting to really struggle, especially on the exit of the corner. But Matos got loose, and now he's under fire from the 4 of Nate Catilla. And Eddie Hawks has slid back. He got loose coming out of turn number 4 a couple laps ago. So Nate Catilla here going for the 4th position underneath Fernando Matos. He's going to get a twofer here as he just got around the 45 of Eddie Hawks. So very interesting change of events here. And AJ Digby still pulling away up at the front.
Yeah, and there's Dave Wilson and Kyle Zimmer fighting for the 2nd position as well. Dave Wilson actually got a little bit loose as well, so that lead for AJ Digby now up to 2.5 seconds. So definitely AJ Digby looking pretty right now. Got to be loving what he's seen in his mirror, and that is absolutely nothing.
Oh, and Tanner Sharp in the number 3 machine. He made contact with the outside wall in turn number 1 and 2. No caution, but you can see Kevin Cochran was able to get around that number 3 Perky Pint Chevrolet. And there's quite a bit of damage to that right side of that machine. Oh, looks like Dave Wilson in the outside wall, just a little bit coming out of turn number 4. That's going to open the door for Kyle Zimmer. Action all over this racetrack here once again, working lap number 46. And Cameron, this is the exact same point in the last run that we saw these cars look like they were a handful.
Yeah, it's really seeming that as the track cools down and the lights go on, the intensity is heating up as well. These cars are just looking wicked to drive, and you know, not really surprising. This track will chew tires up like no tomorrow. So definitely in the wall once again, the 20 of Dave Wilson. It looks like that turn 4 is absolutely being awful for all of these drivers. So you know, I think that number, whatever AJ Digby out there is doing, is he's been able to save his tires a little bit more than anyone else. Of course, having clean air on that nose will help immensely, but definitely, you know, you set lead right there, about 2.8 seconds right now, so definitely looking pretty good for him at the time being.
Yeah, and he's about 2/10 of a second per lap faster than Dave Wilson and Kyle Zimmer behind him, so Digby definitely has found something here in the early to middle part of this green flag run, at least I should say fuel run, because they can go probably about 70 or so laps on fuel, 60 to 70 laps I would think here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. But very interesting to see here the number 3 machine of Tanner Sharp. He has been able to hold on to that 8th position, but has lost a significant amount of ground on this man right here, Kevin Cochran. And Cochran's starting to move his way forward, keeping an eye on the fastest average lap time over the last 5 laps. Tanner Sharp possibly having more issues here. Go back and see this on the 3-wide TV replay. Here in turn number 3 and 4. And, gets sideways there. And looks like he's going to lose a spot to James Efall. So move Efall up into the 8th position and Tanner Sharp back to 9th.
Up at the front, we have a battle between Dave Wilson and Kyle Zimmer. These two are swapping back and forth each and every lap, so it might be a bit of tire dysfunction on that 20 car. Definitely look who's catching up on board with the number 4 of Nate Catilla, who might be one of the most consistent cars on the racetrack right now. We have not seen that number 4 get sideways one time. Looks like he's out there smooth, steady, consistent, and doing just what he needs to do to maybe get his 2nd win of the season. Of course, we were talking about how Nate Catilla not in the championship hunt did not make the final 4, but he definitely has something out here to prove tonight.
Yeah, running very, very good laps. And I kind of want to throw this over to Chris. And Chris, when you have a race car that's starting to go off, starting to handle a little bit ill, what kind of goes through your mind as a race car driver? Do you try and back up your corners and try and cater to whatever the race car is doing? Or are you just going to go out there and see what you can do, especially in a race like this with so much stress surrounding it?
If you start to get a little loose, you just gotta really try to take it easy on the corners, not full throttle on the corners. Because if you do that, you will really lose it so bad.
Yeah, these cars can snap on you very, very quickly. We've even seen that here tonight. And look at this, Kyle Zimmer going to the inside. What happened to the number 4, Nate Catilla? There he is. A little bit of connection issues there on the 4 of Nate Catilla to the outside now of the 25 of Kyle Zimmer. Now side by side for the 3rd position between Zimmer and Catilla. And really, Catilla, we've been mentioning it, Cameron. He is coming up to the front very, very quickly and trying to get that 3rd position. If he can get the 25 of Zimmer, I think he can track down and pass the 20 of Dave Wilson. Since Wilson is right there, right on board with the number 20 machine. In fact, looking at the front nose of the number 4 machine, and that number 4 machine's very, very quick out there.
Yeah, he looks like he was going for it for there, not able to do it, but that number 4 absolutely is running the fastest lap times on the racetrack right now. Ooh, slipped there off turn number 4, but so did Dave Wilson, so did Kyle Zimmer, so did everyone. Of course, we've been seeing turn 4 be the monkey see, monkey do effect here. Everybody kind of just running into the wall, but definitely number 4 still is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Activity on pit road here. Tanner Sharp in the purple Perky Pints machine. Probably had enough of what he was seeing out there on the racetrack, trying to get himself some new tires. But here's Kyle Zimmer under fire from Eddie Hawks. Eddie Hawks, another one of those non-championship contenders that has been playing spoiler all night, doing a good job on the outside of that 25. Ooh, I think Kyle Zimmer just slipped there in turn 4, not losing the position, but definitely that 25 was a little bit sideways. So these cars being a handful tonight.
I just want to interject here. Eddie Hawks in that number 45 machine, very gentlemanly thing to do. As we have a caution out on the racetrack, we'll come back to that in a moment. Well, not seeing anything. There's some damage on the back end. Oh, there we go. 66 Brian Lowhead came to a stop there on the racetrack in that 66 machine. Heavy contact with the inside wall. We'll go on board here. And Cameron, what happened?
Looks like it got loose out of turn number 4, and once you get sideways, those free tires are just absolutely not happy anymore. They're like an angry girlfriend, like you said, Peter. They don't ever come back to being what they want or what you want them to be, and I think those tires were just had enough, and while he went. So quite a long run there. Those tires were well past their use-by date, and I think all of these drivers coming down this access road to come down pit road are going to be absolutely happy to get 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles on these cars, because they were probably sawing that wheel like they were carpenters.
Now, what was interesting is we just saw Tanner Sharp on pit road. He'd lose a lap under this during that pit stop, which is what happened earlier in the race when he pitted. But I'm sure he will take the wave around and will be back on the lead lap as such. But here are all your race leaders coming down pit road, led by AJ Digby, second position, Dave Wilson, Nate Catilla, third, Kyle Zimmer, fourth, and Eddie Hawks in fifth. And I do want to highlight Eddie Hawks, and I was just saying this when the caution flag came out, that there was a very gentlemanly thing that he did. He knows that Kyle Zimmer is one of your championship contenders, and Zimmer got a little bit swirly down there on the inside line, and Eddie Hawks just backed out of it, let Zimmer come up the racetrack in front of him. As you see, the 14 and the 25 win the race off pit road. So I think Eddie Hawks kind of reacted to what Kyle Zimmer was facing down there on the inside, gave him plenty of space. He could have tried to take advantage of it, but that could have put both the 45 and the 25 in a precarious position. And I think that is Eddie Hawks just kind of saying, all right, I'm not a championship driver. I'm racing with a championship driver. I don't want to be the one to cause an accident and put Kyle Zimmer out of contention. So a very gentlemanly thing out of Eddie Hawks there.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely looks to be that way. Let's go ahead and talk to him. Got him in the booth right now. Eddie Hawks, this is Cameron Rich up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, man. Well, you're up here playing one of the championship spoilers, really being one of the fastest drivers out there that's not in the Final Four. Definitely doing a good job out there tonight. We saw you give a little bit of slack to that number 25 of Kyle Zimmer, probably on your mind that he is racing for a championship. But definitely a very gentlemanly thing that we saw you do there in, I believe, turn number 4 it was.
Yeah, I mean, racing, I think the three ahead of me are all chase guys, but I'm trying to give them a little more extra room, but try not to make it too easy on them.
Yeah, definitely. You are one of the fastest cars out there, though. You seem to be very good on the long run, but the track does look extremely slick. We see a lot of drivers kind of getting loose, especially out of turn number 4. How's it feeling for you in the car?
Yeah, same thing. I think after about 25 laps, turn 4, I've got sideways a couple times, so yeah, at about 25 laps, you just got to start taking it a little easy.
Absolutely. Well, you're coming down to the later stages of this race. Of course, you know, you've had a pretty good season considering you came in the league a little bit late. Do you have any projections for 2020?
Yeah, I hope to be winning the championship 4 next year. I plan on running all the races, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Eddie. Thank you for talking with us very much. Appreciate it, and definitely best of luck the rest of this race. See if you can go out there and get you a win before it's all said and done.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
You know, Peter, I got to say, being a championship driver myself in a few instances, it's always a nice thing when you have non-championship drivers kind of being aware of that and giving you a little bit of room. Of course, they're not obligated to in any sort of the way, but definitely it is a nice gesture nonetheless.
Yeah, especially at this point in the race, you know, there's still a lot of laps to go. That was the longest green flag run that we've had tonight. In fact, only 2 cautions here tonight, which is pretty awesome to see out of these SimPossible race car drivers. We are quickly approaching the halfway distance. We will be there in about 7 laps or so once we go back to green flag action here as pace car lights are off. But yeah, definitely. I mean, you and I, we've both been in championship races, and I believe you might have been taken out of a championship race by a non-championship driver, not naming names or pointing fingers, but hashtag blame Carlos. But, you know, it was it's always good when you're around other drivers who are cognizant of that fact.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely good to see all the good racing here tonight. Of course, the SimPossible Race League is all about respectful, clean racing and more about friendships than actual competition, but the competition is fierce as any other league. The green flag is out once again. Good start for AJ Digby. Good start for Kyle Zimmer as well. Your championship 4 all running right there together almost with Nate Catilla right there and Eddie Hawks kind of being the 2 spoilers in the top 6 there. But side-by-side battle for the second position, Dave Wilson and Kyle Zimmer. Zimmer on the outside line, Wilson on the inside line. Here comes Nate Catilla following Kyle Zimmer on that outside line, trying to get 3rd position. And number 20 on the inside line got a little bit loose into turn number 3, but he's able to keep it straight pretty well and might be under fire from the number 4 of Catilla and Eddie Hawks there off of turn number 4. Ooh, Catilla slid down the track a little bit for some reason and did not sure what happened there, but definitely that was a pretty close move there. Ooh, actually, I think the number 20 of Dave Wilson knew that. He kind of shoved his nose in there under that number 4 of Catilla and said, "I'm going to come through. I did not appreciate that. Thank you very much."
Yeah, Wilson definitely opening up that number 4 machine like a can of Coke, just pushing his way in and saying, all right, buddy, I want that position back, but unable to take that spot for now as Catilla holds on to third momentarily. And it'll be interesting to see now that Nate has some good track position. We saw him so fast on the long run. What can he do now with that track position? Will he be able to stay up with your race leaders and possibly, be fast at the end of the run like he was last run, but this time be closer? Be interesting to see if that does happen again. There's the number 80 machine of Kevin Cochran running in the 7th position. He's got around the number 17 of Fernando Matos, and Matos has not had the best of restarts here. He's kind of been shuffled back by both the 88 and the 80 machines. We'll have to see if Matos can kind of reset here and start working his way forward. And Chris, as a race car driver, when you get one of these restarts and it just doesn't go your way, how frustrating can it be to kind of reset and try and kind of clear your mind and get things out of your head?
Well, it does get really frustrating. Sometimes if you get the wrong gear, you really have to try to recover it back up again. Just hopefully to God, just hold together.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matos has now lost another position to Tanner Sharp, and getting word that Tanner Sharp is still 1 lap down, so I'm not quite sure what that was about. I kind of expected Tanner Sharp to get the wave around, but I guess he did. Oh, the number 4, Nate Catilla, off the pace here, and Catilla is on the apron down there, and not quite sure what this is, but he was your 3rd place race car, and it looks like he's got no power, Cameron. Looks like he's in neutral or something, and that number 4 machine, she's just lost power.
Something happened to number 99 too.
I'm seeing that the number 4 of Nate Catilla on the cockpit display there does not have any gas. I can't imagine that is right. But Peter, it could be a hardware failure or anything like that, but that definitely is extremely weird, and I don't think there's no way he's going to be able to make it around. Caution is out. That car is slowed and stopped in turn number 2, and what a tough break for Nate Catilla. He was having such a good run out here tonight, running there in the top 3, and was one of the fastest cars out here, and seemingly something phantom happening to him.
Yeah, I don't know what at all happened to that number 4 machine, but that is definitely going to set Nate Catilla back in this race. He does have a lot of pace, so wouldn't be at all surprised to see him work his way back forward, but he will have to take a tow here and fall a couple of laps down. It'll be interesting to see exactly what happened there after the race, but nonetheless, we're back under the 3rd caution here, working the halfway mark here in tonight's race, 200 miles around the Homestead-Miami Speedway. And it looks like the number 99 there, Johnny Berardi, coming on under the racetrack with some smoke billowing from its front end. Not quite sure what that is all about.
He lost control on the backstretch.
Oh, okay. All right, good to know. That's definitely a tough break for Johnny. Remember, Johnny started this race a couple of laps late, but definitely has a smoking race car. I'm sure he'll come down pit road and get that repaired with a fast repair. They do have 4 fast repairs here in the SimPossible Racing League, but everyone is on pit road once again.
Yeah, I'm going to see all these drivers take 4 tires and fuel one more time. And I think this might be in the window for them to be able to go to the end of the race. So if they were to go green from here on out, they should be all right. But definitely a important pit stop to get right. You see all these drivers pulling into their box and getting right there square. There's AJ Digby and Kyle Zimmer into the box cleanly. There's Fernando Matos a little bit further on the back. Of course, Fernando getting shuffled on the restart, getting shuffled back to about the 8th position or so. But down and away, AJ Digby, Kyle Zimmer, and there's Dave Wilson. There is your top 3 off pit road. There's Tanner Sharp taking the wave around, I believe, or maybe the lucky dog. I think it's the lucky dog, so he's going to be back on the lead lap. Definitely look for him to be fast later on in the run, but definitely got to think all these drivers are very thankful for having these fresh tires, because these worn out tires are just looking so treacherous out there tonight, Chris. You as a driver, you get into positions where you get the tires worn out, And once your tires are kind of worn out, there's not really much you can do to kind of help that, because once they're worn, they're worn. You can back off a little bit, but that's not going to improve your pace at all.
No, once your tires are worn and you're just hanging on to dear life, and just hopefully there's a caution, and then you could hopefully get back up there, but it will take a longer time to get back up in front.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of one of the snowball effect things about racing, where your tires are wearing, but you can't really do anything about it, because if you push harder, your tires are going to wear, and you might crash, or if you back off, you're going to lose spots. So it's definitely a balancing game in oval racing. That is one of the reasons why it's so hard for people that might not know a lot about oval racing. A lot of road course guys say, oh, they just run around in circles. Well, Peter, that as much as I do, that is completely not true, and there is so much that goes into these races that it would be impossible to be able to cram it into an hour-long broadcast or so.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, there's so many laps that you run. These race cars change so much over a long run. I mean, you and I know you can go into the same corner, turn 1, turn 2, whatever, turn 3, turn 4, and essentially the race car will drive different every single lap because the tires wear out so quickly. It is very, very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I do want to make note, I did run across the racetrack from up here in the booth, and ran down to the number 4 machine's pit box, and I actually have found out what happened to that number 4 machine. He was actually out of gas. We're getting reports that the number 4 machine, the fueling receptacle, was not taking on any fuel under any of the pit stops here tonight. So at least we know how long they can go on fuel. But unfortunately for Nate Catilla, he ran dry. And that number 4 machine came to a halt there coming out of turn number 2. Luckily, they were able to get things righted once that car reset. And Nate Catilla finds himself currently 3 laps down. And I kind of said to his spotter, Wayne Lowe, hey, buddy, hopefully you guys can put on a show for us on 3 Wide TV, get your laps back. But he currently finds himself 3 laps down here at Homestead-Miami Speedway here in the latter half of the race.
Yeah, it definitely is a tough break, and that is a kind of a freak accident too. That's not something that should happen on iRacing. Of course, we don't have mechanical failures to that extent where things like the fueling rig can stop working. But it definitely is a weird thing to happen. But anyway, we have another restart coming to you. Pace car is off, field in the hands of AJ Digby and Kyle Zimmer, as it has been for most of the race. Good restart for Kyle Zimmer on the outside line. He might be able to pull ahead of that 14 once we get into turn number 1. AJ Digby might have been caught sleeping there on the restart a little bit, but he does have that inside line as the cameras flash off into turn number 1, side by side between these two. It's side by side behind them as well. Dave Wilson and Eddie Hawks going at it, and AJ Digby takes sole possession of the lead, but here comes Kyle Zimmer trying to fight back down the backstretch into turn number 3. He's going to sail it off in the corner and try to slide up in front of that 14. I don't think it's going to happen this time by. He's going to slide up into the 14. Contact with 14 sideways in turn number 4, and he's going to go spinning into the inside wall. No caution out yet. There's the caution, and AJ Digby probably has to be pretty hot in that car right now, because in his mind, he just got wrecked.
Cameron, I'm going to say what we used to say a long time ago, you pay, and sometimes something like that happens, and I'm sure there's no real animosity between Kyle Zimmer and AJ Digby. There was just, looks like it slid up just a little bit, made contact, and that goes back to the fact that this racetrack is variably banked. There wasn't as much grip down there for Kyle Zimmer as there was for AJ Digby, so that is kind of why they had a coming together coming out of turn number 2, and unfortunately for Digby, he will have to use a fast repair. But if there's anything in regards to that number 14 machine, he's very, very fast, and will now have to work a little bit harder to get tonight's B-Car Series Championship.
And we know AJ Digby is a fast, aggressive driver, so I think, it might be a blessing in disguise for at least the 3-Wide TV part of things. We're going to see a show put on from that 14 car. And, of course, no malice from Kyle Zimmer. We watched his onboard. Kyle Zimmer, not a dirty driver in any sense of the word. You saw him cranking that wheel left as hard as he could, just no grip down there, like you said. Just probably got to be a bit of frustration on AJ Digby's part, but of course he knows that was not on purpose, just racing for a championship. So absolutely just part of racing. But on to pit road, you know, once again, and that's pretty surprising to me, Peter. They were only out there for a couple laps. Of course, tires are absolutely that important, but this track is just absolutely chewing tires up like no tomorrow.
Yeah, and you know, this basically shows that is the case. Digby going to be one of those drivers on pit road, of course, to use a fast repair, get that front end damage fixed up. You see 32 Billy Wise. Haven't really mentioned Billy here tonight, but a pretty solid night for that number 32 Magical Butter Machine so far. Sometimes a quiet night's a good night, as the 14 of Digby is going to move into his pit box right in front of the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer, but does look like the number 3 of Tanner Sharp will be the first one off pit road. Tanner's got a little bit of damage on that number 3 machine. Once again, it just has not been Tanner Sharp's night so far, but I think his two-tire strategy here will win him the race off pit road. Billy Wise follows him, James Efaw, Kevin Cochran, Tom Johnson, AJ Digby, and Kyle Zimmer's still sitting in his pit box, and I think what Kyle might be doing here is just saying to AJ, hey man, this wasn't intentional, and I feel kind of terrible for this, but Kyle Zimmer's going to lose a lot of track position here. He will be starting actually behind the number 14 of AJ Digby.
Yeah, that kind of doubles up what I said before. I think it's going to be a fun fight back to the front for both Kyle Zimmer and AJ Digby, and really for Fernando Matos as well. Of course, he got shuffled back there a couple of cautions ago and has made his way back up to the 4th position, so do not count him out either. But definitely for Kyle Zimmer and AJ Digby, both those drivers are very aggressive, very clean drivers, so they're not going to do anything too wild, but it's definitely going to be a fun show from here on out. So all you viewers here on 3Wide TV, you have a treat that it's going to be coming to you like Halloween candy. But I want to give a quick shout out to all of the chatters in the chat tonight. Good turnout for everybody. Good to see all the activity. We appreciate all of you kind of keeping us company, and see a lot of names in here tonight that are regulars in the chat. So thank you all so much. Really all season long, it's been great having all the friends and family of the SimPossible Race League kind of be a part of everything and be, active in the chat and just active in the league itself. So I want to give a personal, from myself and from a 3Wide TV, thank you to you all, and we hope that you stick around until the end and definitely come back for 2020.
Yeah, definitely a very good contingency in the chat. Brian Newton, Nikki Worsler, Max Calder, Milton Matos. I know that's, of course, rooting for Fernando. But it's cool to see a couple of these drivers have fans, people who join us in the chat, give driver shout-outs. We see a lot of them for Alan Capers, and unfortunately for the number 13 of Alan Capers, he's not on racetrack tonight due to the fact that he's got a new job and they scheduled him to work tonight. So that was definitely unfortunate in that regard, but hopefully you can get back out on track with us soon here, Alan, in that number 13 machine, killing some cones as you typically do. But I'm sure he will be watching and listening to this race here on 3Wide TV. But we now have 57 laps to go when we go back to Green Flag Racing. And Chris, 57 laps to go. Is this when you start to think it's go time?
For me, not yet.
All right, well, maybe trying to keep your cards close to your hand. I know we've seen cautions kind of breed cautions in the SimPossible Racing League this season, so I kind of like that strategy, especially if you've already used one or two fast repairs. Just kind of stay safe here. You still got a long race to go. But speaking of a long race to go, we're about to go back to Green Flag Racing and get back to that actual race. And the green flag back in the air here at Homestead-Miami. Good restart for the number 20 of Dave Wilson. The number 9 of Tim Masters, though, had a little bit of a checkup there and unable to hold on to the back of the number 20 machine as they go through turn number 1 and 2. Wilson's going to pull ahead. Side-by-side battle now for the second position between Eddie Hawks and the number 9 of Tim Masters. Remember, neither of those two cars pitted, as neither did the 20 machine up at the front, as the number 3 of Tanner Sharp's going to go all the way down to the inside of 3 wide for the second position.
That was a wreck that not take anyone out because that number 3 had absolutely no room to make that move, but somehow it happened. He forced it 3 wide down there below that 9 car and almost that 9 car almost slid up into Eddie Hawks. So very close there, very close right now as well. You're looking from the back of Fernando Matos' car.
Oh,
trouble
we
in the
have
back.
Nate Catilla's involved in the 4 machine, as was the number 32 Billy Wise in the outside wall. We'll get a replay of this here on 3Y TV lined up for you, but Billy Wise definitely getting a big chunk of it going off into the corner. And oh man, looks like the 88 machine might have made some contact with 80 of Kevin Cochran there. And when the number 32 of Billy Wise came down the racetrack, it clipped that man right there, the number 4 of Nate Catilla. And Nate Catilla, hopefully he's got enough gas now to go the rest of the way, but definitely not what he wanted to have happen. Already 3 laps down.
Pretty hard hit there for the number 32 of Billy Wise as well. Might need some magical butter to take the pain off of that one, but Nate Catilla getting pinched into the wall, like you said, Peter, it was all looking so good for him a little while ago, and just some freak accident kind of and taking the wind out of the sails, and you know, Nate Catilla now finding himself 3 laps down and kind of involved in a wreck there, but some pit strategy being played here. It looks like most of the field coming down pit road, but Tanner Sharp is not going to. So interesting there. Of course, only having a couple laps on the tires, you know, it might be something that works out for him. It might not be. We'll have to see. But you see all of your championship contenders coming down pit road, led by Dave Wilson, and then there is Tim Masters, Eddie Hawks, Fernando Matos, and then the rest of the field. So coming down to the end of this race, Peter, you know, we're going to probably have at least one more pit stop, just logically speaking. So all these pit stops are important, though. You don't want to lose track position if you don't have to. So coming into the pit box right there, looks like everybody in their pit box very cleanly, very smoothly. Homestead not known for having small pit boxes or terribly tough pit road there. And off pit road there, race won by Dave Wilson, and then there is Eddie Hawks and Kyle Zimmer. Kyle Zimmer making his way off pit road, definitely a good pickup for him. He was a couple spots behind where he came out before the caution, so that number 25 making the moves on pit road.
Yeah, interesting to see that out of that race. Just gonna take a quick peek at some of the pit stop times, and Kyle Zimmer didn't have the fastest pit stop time, but he got in and out of his pit box very, very well, and actually had the fastest pit lane time out of all of the cars that just came down pit road. So very, very good from him. AJ Digby also having a pretty darn good pit road time, and that is why he now finds himself up in the 6th position. So AJ Digby starting to work his way back up through the field, which we kind of expected, Cameron, after he was involved in that incident just a few laps ago with the 25 machine of Kyle Zimmer. So definitely some talking points here under caution. We now have 53 laps to go. Tanner Sharp in the number 3 machine is leading up there at the front, and very, very interesting to see that number 3 machine up there in that bright purple Perky Pines machine. Just hasn't quite had the night, but now he's got some track position, and we'll see how that track position works out for him.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk to him real quick. Tanner Sharp, this is Cameron Rich in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, right out there in the front with that purple Perky Pints machine, trying to get some alliteration in there, but definitely doing a good job out there. You made a 3 wide move there in turn 3 that looked daredevil-esque, but it somehow worked. No, it hasn't been a very smooth night from you, but definitely looking good out there tonight. How's the track feeling for you?
I got mixed opinions about it, but I mean, I don't know if what we got going on here, it's like we're down on horsepower, even though we don't have the severe amount of damage for it, but even when the car is fixed, so we'll see what happens. We're just not fast at all on speed like everybody else is for whatever reason. Something's going on here, so we're going to make the best of it.
Yeah, definitely with you doubling up before the restart, we're going to make this quick. We know that you and the driver you're lined up next to both have 9 wins on the season and kind of fighting for that bit meaningless title, but it is a bit of a pride thing, I have to say, of most wins in the season. Are you kind of thinking about that? Do you want to go out there and kind of win this race and get your 2020 start off on a good note, or are you just out there to have some fun?
You serious? No, we're just trying to get back up towards the front, see what we got for these boys here. I'm not really thinking about wins just yet till we know that we're competitive with the leaders. So right now it's just basically survival, trying to finish at least top 3 for Perky Pints.
All right, man. We'll let you get back to what you're doing best. The best of luck tonight, and thank you so much for talking with us.
10-4, thank you.
Let him know, yes, I am serious. Of course, that is something that some drivers think about, some don't think about. Of course, you probably should be thinking about things like the racetrack and the around the cars you're at. But either way, pace car is off, so hopefully these drivers are thinking about making a restart, because we're about to do that once again. Lap 82 of 133. Good start for the number 3 of Tanner Sharp on the inside line. Looks like Dave Wilson on the outside caught sleeping just a little bit, as was Eddie Hawks right behind Tanner Sharp. So Tanner, trouble to contact with Dave Wilson and Eddie Hawks in turn number 1. That's going to open the door for Tim Masters and Kyle Zimmer. And there's Fernando Matos as well. So, Dave Wilson in the wall once again. It has gone from bad to worse in one corner for that number 20 car. Not a lot of damage on that machine, but it looks definitely did not go the way he wanted to. He's lost a couple of spots, but is still the leading championship 4 driver, so all things considered, not too bad for him. Tanner Sharp leads that lap, battle for second with Eddie Hawks and Tim Masters, and then got all 4 championship contenders running right now in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th place, led there by Dave Wilson, but 3 wide with AJ Digby, Fernando Matos, and Kyle Zimmer down the backstretch. These are your 3 other championship contender drivers, and it looks like almost some contact there with Eddie Hawks and Dave Wilson once again. So, Peter, this is a lot going on.
Yeah, this battle for now 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 7th, your championship 4. I mean, it's a absolute scrap here in the mid-pack here. Now that we've had this short little green flag run going back to green, I know a lot of people say, man, you have to make up as many spots as you can after a restart. We're seeing that out of drivers like Kyle Zimmer, Eddie Hawks, Tim Masters, but we'll have to see how these fresh tires start to work out for some of these drivers. I mean, look at what Tanner Sharp has done. He's actually gapped the number 9 machine of Tim Masters. Remember, he didn't pit this last time, and he's out there now with a pretty respectable lead. But here comes Dave Wilson trying to get the 2nd position from the number 9 of Tim Masters.
Yeah, I'm down there on that inside line. It's so hard to make the pass, and look, he's actually going to lose the spot to Kyle Zimmer around the outside into turn number 3, but not so much. He's going to drive it down in there and try to make something happen, but we saw with him and AJ Digby a little while ago that inside line is just not the place to be right now. It looks like the track is changing a little bit, Peter. Looks like the outside line is coming into play a little bit more than it was early on, and definitely is the place to be right now.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I mean, we saw a lot of cars make passes down there on the inside line early in the race, but now, as this race continues to go on, it's been a while since we saw a clean pass on the inside line after the first lap, after a green flag. So, very interesting to see that outside line start to come in. I mean, AJ Digby in the number 14 machine, you see him up there running that line. We'll see if the 25 Kyle Zimmer can make a move around the inside of Tim Masters. But right now, Tanner Sharp is loving this in his rearview mirror. As, the number 99 of Johnny Berardi almost made contact with the number 3 of Tanner Sharp. As Sharp was able to avoid that collision. And the number 99 of Berardi is going to pull to the inside and let this battle go by. But yeah, that inside line just unable to make a move just yet.
And we have a battle for the second position. Kyle Zimmer under Tim Masters. If he can't make that pass, he might be under fire from Dave Wilson, which is exactly what we're seeing right now, Peter. So, at a track like this where the high line is a little bit more dominant, you really have to think about your passes very carefully, because if your pass isn't successful, you might be under fire from someone else.
And look at AJ Digby. Yeah, AJ Digby said, all right, this low line thing isn't working. I'm just going to go up to the top here. And he shot up to the top of the racetrack and passed the number 20 of Dave Wilson, made it look like he was standing still. So Digby now using that high line to the best of his advantage, but in the wall, right side damage, and Digby now has a lot of right side damage to contend with.
It was almost like a repeat of that one Truck Series finale from a couple seasons ago, where those 3 were 3 wide into turn number 3 on the last lap of the race. And we remember Kyle Zimmer actually coming out of that race with the championship. So definitely, all these drivers are fighting tooth and nail for it. You see there, Dave Wilson, Fernando Matos, and AJ Digby 3 wide almost once again. Dave Wilson up the racetrack a little bit, but he's going to keep his position. Now the battle is with AJ Digby and Fernando Matos there, and that's for the 5th position on the racetrack, right behind there, the 20 of Dave Wilson. But right in front of them, battle with Tim Masters and Kyle Zimmer still going at it. Of course, Kyle Zimmer, currently your top Championship 4 driver, would be the champion if the race ended right now. But of course, we do have quite a bit of laps to go, 43 laps to go this time by. And Chris, these drivers are racing hard right now. You got to think, for these championship drivers, this could be a little bit of a dangerous position to be in.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty dangerous.
Definitely got to kind of watch your back here. And, there's Dave Wilson trying to look under Tim Masters there in a turn number 1. Cannot make the pass. He's going to slide up right behind him. But, Dave Wilson right there, he sees that 25 in his windshield just a couple car lengths down the road. He's sensing blood, and he has the 14 right behind him and the 17 as well. So all these drivers kind of thinking the same thing. They want to, they smell blood. They smell, Dave Wilson hit the wall again. That was a big boy
and
hit
Matos
for him.
too.
And Matos, yeah, right there. So you see that 17 right side is quite used up right now, and that's definitely not going to help the handling of that car. I think Dave Wilson as well has a bit of damage, so he's going to be under fire from AJ Digby down the backstretch right there, and AJ Digby takes that position with relative ease.
And here comes Eddie Hawks coming right behind Dave Wilson there.
Yeah, Eddie Hawks in the mix as well. So really, this is a bit of an up and down run for some of these Championship 4. Of course, Kyle Zimmer, a couple tenths of a second down the road. He's now running down the 3 of Tanner Sharp, about 6/10 of a second that last time by. When the lead was about a second and a half a couple laps ago. But here's Eddie Hawks and Dave Wilson going at it for the 5th position. And all of a sudden for Dave Wilson, it's not looking so pretty for him.
No, it's not. I think the tires will start to wear off slowly for him.
And Chris, we know Dave Wilson, of course, one of your teammates and fellow countryman, fellow Canadian out there. Dave Wilson, a very talented race car driver himself. He's been, of course, one of the best drivers in this series. 9 wins to his credit, matched only by Tanner Sharp. But sometimes things just don't go your way. But I know for Dave Wilson, if he can get things righted, he will right them in a big way. But right now, he's under fire from Fernando Matos, and that would put him back to the last of the Championship 4. So definitely has some work to do.
Oh yes, he does. All you gotta do is just have to have patience. That's all you could do.
We're back here up at the front, though. Tanner Sharp, his lead has now dwindled down to about 4/10 of a second over Kyle Zimmer. And for Kyle Zimmer, really, it's not too imperative for him to go out there and get the lead just yet. Of course, he wants to come out and win this race, but Tanner Sharp is not in the Championship 4 contention. So Kyle Zimmer could finish the race where he is right now in that second position behind Tanner Sharp and be the champion still. So, not too much pressure on his part. He's got a car between him and the next driver of AJ Digby, being that number 9 of Tim Masters, and himself being about a second behind. So Kyle Zimmer got to be feeling pretty good about his chances right now. But of course, we have 38 laps to go, and that is quite a long time here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Battle with AJ Digby and Eddie Hawks here. That is back for the 4th position. And AJ Digby kind of in the same boat as Dave Wilson. It looks so good for him early on in the race, Chris. He was the fastest car. He was out leading by 2.5, 3.5 seconds. And now it seems after that contact with Kyle Zimmer, he hasn't been able to make as much ground as we thought he might be able to.
No, I think Kyle just rattled his cage, so he's still soaking up. So I think AJ will get up there soon.
Definitely be shaken up, race car driver mentality. Once something happens, a lot of, some drivers will kind of take it a little bit harder than others, and some can just shake it off and get back to the thing that they're doing before. We know AJ kind of has talked about his bad luck here and there, and might be thinking, why did it happen in this race? But definitely, he's trying to fight off that number 45 Eddie Hawks and keep his 4th position and keep really his 2nd position in the championship standing right now, because he knows he can go up there and fight the 25 of Kyle Zimmer. He just needs to get the break to do that, and maybe come down pit road one more time and get whatever damage he has fixed on that car. But they're still going at it for that 4th position through turns 1 and 2. And Eddie Hawks on the inside line is putting up a really good fight with AJ. He's not been able to get around AJ, but he is staying right there. And up at the front, here comes Kyle Zimmer. Of course, we were talking about him not needed to take the lead, but Kyle Zimmer is a racer himself. And He's going to want to come out here and get the win if he can, and kind of seal his championship chances. You see the gap right there, 1/10 of a second, and the last lap time by 32.7 for Tanner Sharp and a 32.4 for Kyle Zimmer, so about 0.3 of a second quicker. That number 25 is flying. Into turn number 3, we're still on board with Kyle Zimmer, and that gap is just closing visually through turn number 4. He might actually have a change for the lead here at the line, not quite yet, but I think next time by we might see a new leader, and that's the 25 of Kyle Zimmer. And Kyle Zimmer, of course, we were talking about how Tanner Sharp and Dave Wilson have the most wins on the season, but Kyle Zimmer has 7 of his own, so if he was able to take the win tonight, that would make it 8, and just 1 behind
Tanner
those other 2.
did a little wiggle there on that turn 3.
Yeah, a little bit of a wiggle there, but it was a little bit of sideways for the 25 under the 3 of Tanner Sharp. He's going to be able to hold that position and at the line give the lead to Kyle Zimmer, and he was already in position to win the championship as is, but he's looking in position to win the race and the championship. But Tanner Sharp's not going to let him go down without a fight. Of course, these 2 ex-teammates, Tanner Sharp and Kyle Zimmer, but now Kyle Zimmer being himself a protege racing driver, and Tanner Sharp part of the Will Worsler racing crew, and doing good work on that outside line to keep that lead. He's actually going to take it commandingly back into turn number 3, and these two are going at it pretty hard. That's actually opening the door for Tim Masters in that 3rd position to try to come up here and do something else, Peter.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see what that number 9 machine can do, because over the last 5 laps, I mean, Eddie Hawks and Tim Masters have been the 2 fastest race cars on the racetrack on average. So Tim Masters definitely closing in on these top 2, trying to play spoiler here tonight, but we have a caution flag here back in the air, and it's a couple of championship contenders, or at least one championship contender is the number 20 of Dave Wilson, who's gone around that number 20 machine smoking, as that is not what he wanted to have happen. Just too much beans there through the corner, got up into the outside wall, and unfortunately for Catilla, this night has gone from bad to worse as he's involved once again. Heavy contact on that number 4 machine.
Yeah, and that number Dave Wilson smoking quite heavily. Of course, smoking is bad for you, and worse if you are a race car. You definitely don't want to see smoke billowing out of your engine. That usually means bad things are happening. But on board there with Nate Catilla, that was Nate Catilla a little bit sideways himself, but just nothing you can do in that position. That 20 just shot into the wall head on almost. Looked like it stopped turning almost. See him just sawing that wheel back and forth, and that car was just absolutely out of control. This is on board with Dave Wilson right now, and just into the wall he goes. And unfortunately for Nate Catilla, he was the innocent bystander. And what a night Nate Catilla's had. It looked so good for him, and it got bad, and then it just got worse. But here's some activity on pit road, led by Tanner Sharp, who actually was able to keep the lead from from Kyle Zimmer.
Cameron, I'm just going to say this right now. Dave Wilson got very, very lucky. He almost fell 1 lap down. He just beat the pace car to the end of pit road. So Dave Wilson will stay on the lead lap, and he has used a fast repair. But all those leaders now get into this pit box. Ooh, maybe Eddie Hawks might have overshot his pit box just a little bit. Had to throw it in reverse. And that number 45 machine might lose some positions because of it.
Yeah, that's definitely going to hurt his chances to stay where he was. He came into the pit road in the 4th position, and you stay battle off pit road. He's going to come off in probably around 8th or 9th, and maybe even 10th position. So definitely a lot of spots being lost for him, and not what he wanted to see. But we know that 45 is very fast out here tonight, and should be able to make his way back up towards the front. But really, Peter, as I say that, it has looked very difficult to pass, even for the fastest cars out here tonight, being like AJ Digby and Kyle Zimmer, and all of our championship contenders, who have really all of them have had trouble at some point in the race. So it definitely has not been a smooth ride for really any of the championship 4.
Yeah, it has not been a smooth ride for any of them. Like you said, I mean, that's kind of not what you'd expect. You kind of expect them to be up front and kind of running their own race, but they've had trials and tribulations here tonight, and that's effectively that's what you have to overcome to become champion. I mean, throughout the entire season, you have to overcome trials and tribulations, and in a single race here like tonight, they're having to do so as well. But
Yeah.
now 28 laps to go.
Yeah, really, it's kind of an analogy of this SimPossible league itself. You know, overcoming trials and tribulations to be a champion, and you know, even though most of the drivers in this field are not racing for a championship in the SimPossible Racing League, of course, just them all being out here tonight with this league being full of drivers with a disability. Of course, you know, they're all out there being a champion in their own way. So definitely a good inspiring thing that this league is. But let's go ahead and see if we can get a word with somebody out here tonight. And I think let's go ahead and talk with one of our non-championship contenders, Tim Masters. And I think Peter has caught up with him.
Yes, I have. Tim Masters, short in the 3Y TV booth. You got a copy?
Oh, howdy. I've been chosen. How y'all doing?
You have been chosen. The great click hand of 3Y TV has dragged you down here into the booth. We're doing pretty good up here in the booth, but that number 9 machine has been doing pretty good out there on the racetrack as well. I bet you were a little bit upset to see that caution because you were closing in on the leaders.
Oh, yeah, it's been hailing pretty smooth all night. Really good racing, man. It's been interesting to see. I was super impressed with Kyle's pass over me this last run. He couldn't get by on the inside, and somehow he passed me on the outside. Did it all clean. It was super impressive.
Well, of course, you made a strategy call a couple of pit cycles ago to get good track position. How important has that track position been for that number 9?
Well, I think it's pretty handy. It didn't pay off like I wanted it to because we had got kind of bunched up on pit road. Somebody's motor wasn't working too good. So I did gain some spots, though, and I think that's important. I started back in the back on one of them restarts and moved up to almost middle of the field pretty quick, but after that, it was slow going.
Well, definitely that number 9 machine has looked fast here in the last half of this race, but we have the one to go out there, so best of luck for you, bud, and hopefully you can finish up near the front.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.
All right, that is the number 9 machine of Tim Masters, and very nice and cordial of him, Cameron, to give praise to that number 25 machine.
Yeah, definitely. We know all these drivers out here have a lot of respect for each other. I think I brought that up a little while ago. Of course, even when incidents happen, everybody knows it's not intentional and it's just a part of racing. But another part of racing is these restarts, which we have another one of, and a good start for Tanner Sharp on that outside line. Kyle Zimmer might have been caught sleeping there a little bit. He's under fire from AJ Digby for that second position. Tanner Sharp has taken the lead for the time being into turn number 1. He is on the outside line side by side with Kyle Zimmer. He should get the run here off of turn number 2 and complete that pass. Here comes AJ Digby. We're on board with him right now down the backstretch. You see the rear end of that Perky Pints machine, the Perky Pints butt per se, and he is side by side with Kyle Zimmer. And we were talking about how both of these drivers have had trials and tribulations all night, Peter. AJ Digby really has been a bad night for him in the sense that he has had a lot of things go wrong, but right now he is in position to maybe go up there and pass that 25 and put himself in the championship position.
And Cameron, we mentioned this a little while ago that outside line has been very, very strong. This is the first time I've seen all night long that inside starter wasn't able to defend that position on the restart with both Tanner Sharp and AJ Digby using the high line to get around Zimmer. So that moves Zimmer back to third, Digby into second. That is the battle currently for the championship. But look at this battle a little bit further back between Fernando Matos, Eddie Hawks, the 88 of James Efall up there, being now passed by the number 20 of Dave Wilson there. And Chris, we're starting to see some great action out there on the racetrack. Definitely things have heated up. And kind of what's going through these drivers' heads at this point of the race?
It's called go time for them. That's where they're going, and that's all action going on around here.
Ooh, some contact there with Dave Wilson and Eddie Hawks there off turn number 4, but thankfully neither driver was affected by that. Just a little bit of close racing, but Dave Wilson, you know, he's got to be fired up, of course. Ooh, it's almost some contact there again. He was stuck behind the 9 of Tim Masters and almost got kind of side-checked by that 45, but thankfully no contact once again. But Dave Wilson, you know, he's got to be fired up. He wants to get up there and get by all of these drivers and get himself back into position because Dave, he doesn't have a lot of time left. Only 23 laps to go this time by.
Yeah, and don't look now, but here comes Fernando Matos. Matos has now worked his way up into the 4th position. And AJ Digby and Kyle Zimmer starting to do battle. Zimmer trying to use that high line, and I'm kind of surprised Digby isn't using that high line like we've seen him do, because now he's under fire from Zimmer.
Yeah, good battle up here for the lead. Kyle Zimmer, AJ Digby, and Tanner Sharp. Of course, the battle for the championship between Zimmer and Digby. But right behind them, like you said, is that number 17 of Fernando Matos. So he sees this in his windshield. And Peter, you know, as a driver yourself, when you see that in your windshield, it fires you up a little bit. Fernando's got to be in that car kind of fired up a bit. He hasn't had the best middle part of the race. He kind of fell back there to around the 8th, 7th position. And, you know, he had a bad couple of restarts there, but he sees the championship in his windshield right now. He sees those two cars in front of him, Digby and Zimmer. And that absolutely, you know, we saw that 17 be the fastest car on the long run early on this race. That's got to fire him up. He's going to go out there and try to make something happen.
Yeah, Matos is just waiting to see what these front three start to do, as we now only have 20 laps to go, 30 miles left in the SimPossible B Car Series season. Started many, many months ago, and we have another caution flag out on the Speedway. And it is, Tim Masters in the number 9 machine. We just spoke with him, and that is the commentator's curse. Wow, maybe a little bit of help there from the 88 machine, and then the 33, and Masters was trying to do everything he could to save that race car. We'll have to go back, see if we can see if there was any contact that initiated this going off into turn number 1, and maybe a little bit of a nudge there from James Efaw in the 88. And Masters did a great job of trying to get that race car saved. You see him doing everything he can with the wheels, seesawing it back and forth, but unfortunately the wall came a little bit faster than he was able to save it. And definitely that number 9 machine has gone around once again. Here we go on board with Billy Wise.
Yeah, and to James Efaw's bit, as soon as he hit the number 9, you saw him back off and try to give him the space to correct it, but unfortunately just that car a little bit too sideways, and these tires are not very happy, even fresh tonight, so that number 9, Tim Masters, not having too much opportunity to save that race car. But another round of pit stops here, Peter. This could be the last one, so all that probably is on all these drivers' minds, trying to get the car in the box as cleanly as possible, get in and out as fast as possible, and try to make something happen, because it absolutely is down to the wire. It is go time, and it definitely this could be for all the marbles right here.
Yeah, and of course it's been interesting to see the number 3 of Tanner Sharp. I mean, he's been able to hold on to the race lead, but I think he's still got a couple of fast repairs in his back pocket. He hasn't elected to use either of those fast repairs. I think he's got 2 left. Could be wrong though, he might only have 1 left, but he hasn't used that fast repair. He's going to win the race off pit road once again here over the 14 of Digby. Zimmer comes out 3rd, and then I don't know who came out 4th. It was a toss-up between the number 20 of Dave Wilson and Eddie Hawks, and I think iRacing is giving it to the number 20 machine. Matos comes out behind Eddie Hawks, so not the pit stop that Matos was looking for. He lost a couple spots on pit lane. But as for that man right there, the number 3 Perky Pints Chevrolet, he's trying to get to the most wins on the season, currently tied with the number 20 of Dave Wilson.
Yeah, and for Fernando, it's really been not a great night on pit road for him. It seems like every time he comes down pit road, he loses a spot. So I know you're a Kevin Harvick fan yourself. Peter, looks like they gave that car the Kevin Harvick pit crew because they are just not getting it done tonight. But I got to think that Fernando's doing everything he can on the racetrack, and his pit crew is just letting him down. That is just something that you cannot really overcome, or you can overcome it, but it's just frustrating as heck to be in that position.
Yeah, let's see if we can dial up the number 14 of AJ Digby here under this caution, because he's kind of had an up-down night. Here he is, AJ Digby, Peter Jordan, 3 wide TV booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
Well, man, you've had a roller coaster of a night in that number 14 machine. Now you're back up into the 2nd position. We saw that outside line get a fantastic restart last time. Did you learn anything from that last restart?
Kind of just did a really good job of following her on that last restart, so anything can really happen here. Don't have much that I learned. I know if I'm trying to hold a position, I would rather be on the outside, so at the very least, even if Tanner can get me, hopefully I can hold that outside on Kyle. I'd love to get by Tanner because I think I have the fastest car in the race, but if he can get going and just drive away from it, I think I can hang on to his back end and hopefully we can pull each other through. So anything can happen though, just got to keep the wheel pointed forward and the car clean as possible and hopefully end up in victory lane.
Yeah, I want to go back to something that you just mentioned, and you said I want to be on the outside line. And early in the race, we saw lots of cars make passes on the inside groove, but as this race has gone on, it seems like that inside groove just doesn't have the grip level needed to make a pass, and all the passes are being made on the high side. Does that go into your consideration here late in the race?
It does go a little bit, but even if it were a hotter, slicker track like it was earlier, I still probably would have preferred the outside. I've always been an outside guy, and that's why places like Kansas and places like that I succeed at really well. So outside is kind of my preferred, I guess, Kyle Larson line of what people would say. It doesn't necessarily work here, but that outside line is my preferred if I'm trying to make passes or hold off somebody. So just going to try to have a good restart and see what happens. Got a lot of fast guys here in the field today. Just going to do my best and see what happens.
All right. Well, AJ, pace car lights are off. We'll let you get back to it. Best of luck, bud.
Thank you.
All right. That is driver of the number 14 machine, AJ Digby, trying to get this championship. Currently the highest scored of your championship drivers, but we're going to have a 15-lap shootout here, Cam.
Yeah, really, it is not a lot of time at all for any of these drivers, so really you got to be what's going through all of these drivers' head, especially Tanner Sharp there. He's going for a win. There's AJ Digby up there going for a championship. Kyle Zimmer, Dave Wilson, Fernando, and Eddie Hawks up there. He's been in the fight all night. Green flag out once again. Good start for AJ Digby on the outside line. Eddie Hawks kind of caught sleeping there right behind him. It's going to be side by side with Digby and Sharp into turn number 1. Digby pulls ahead by just a fender over Tanner Sharp, and I think that number 14 is going to have a good run off in turn number 2. We heard him say he prefers the outside, and it might be right there why he does. He has a good run, and he might be able to clear Tanner into turn number 3. Not quite yet, but definitely is holding tough on that outside line. And I think if he's able to hold tough with Tanner through 3 and 4 like he does right now, he might be sitting pretty and give the lead back to AJ Digby with 14 laps to go. Might be a symbolic pass right there. 14 laps to go as 14 goes into the lead, but way up the racetrack he goes. We'll see if he can hold it through 1 and 2. That number 14 might have gone a little bit higher than he wanted to get, but he still is able to hold the lead over Tanner Sharp. And right behind this battle, Kyle Zimmer has been able to separate himself from Dave Wilson and Eddie Hawks and get himself right up there solidly in the 3rd position. But I think Kyle Zimmer, think about where he needs to go. He was thinking about going the outside line, but the pass was made by AJ Digby. 13 laps to go here, and now the battle is for second with Tanner Sharp and Kyle Zimmer.
Yeah, Zimmer now going to see if he can use that low line, but we just have not seen many passes down there probably now for about the last 30, 40 laps or so. And Zimmer's going to have to slide back in behind Tanner Sharp, but Zimmer's going to try a little bit higher line here through turn number 3 and 4, trying to see if he can make that work. And really, you got to pull up to their right rear fender if you're going to make that move up off the corner. And once you get to your right rear fender of the car in front of you, I think you're going to make the pass, but you see now Tanner Sharp has moved up the racetrack a little bit to defend that from Kyle Zimmer, and Zimmer's going to have to see if he can figure out a way around that number 3. It's kind of like a chess match when this happens, kind of cat and mouse. You're going to block the other driver, take the line away from him. But let's look at this battle a little bit further back. That's Dave Wilson currently in the 5th position, Fernando Matos in the 6th position, and Eddie Hawks still running in 4th. And Eddie Hawks, he's only made 8 starts this season in the SimPossible B-Car Series, but he's only missed the top 5 3 of those 8 times. So very, very strong finisher in that number 45 machine.
Yeah, we heard him say he wants to come back in 2020 and fight for a championship, and he definitely, he probably will be able to do that next season. Definitely has had a good run here tonight, and has had a good run all season long, but he's currently there fighting with Dave Wilson back there for that 4th position as the battle continues on. In front of them, Tanner Sharp and Kyle Zimmer going at it for the 2nd position, but in front of them is AJ Digby. He is one of your Championship 4 drivers, a half a second lead over this battle. And Peter, you got to think he's loving what he's seeing in his mirror right now, and that is that number 3 of Tanner Sharp, because he knows even if that number 3 gets around him, he still is the top championship driver.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, contact between Fernando Matos and the 45 of Eddie Hawks. Saves it. What a save out of that number 45 machine. We'll have to go back and see this on the 3-wide TV replay, because Eddie Hawks was all kinds of sideways. Got a lot of rear end damage, unfortunately. But you see, there he is on the center of your screen. And there was that little bit of a nudge through the center of the corner, and possibly might have checked up a little bit. And Matos made that contact, but that was an impressive save, Cameron, out of Eddie Hawks.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll call that a wreck that didn't bring out a caution. That car was absolutely sideways and probably in all purposes should have wrecked, but definitely a good piece of driving from Eddie Hawks to keep that car sideways. Unfortunately, has found himself back in the 9th position, but nonetheless has a race car that is still in one piece, and we're still racing here with 8 laps to go. AJ Digby now with an 0.8 of a second lead over Tanner Sharp, and does not look like he's slowing down at all. He probably wants this to go green to the end because we know AJ is very fast in the long run. He on that first run of the race, he got himself out to about a 3.5 second lead before the first caution came out. So you gotta think out in clean air, that number 14 might be hard to beat.
And Chris Roberge, just got to ask you, what is going through the head of that number 14 machine right now?
He's just trying to focus. That's all he's gonna do. He doesn't want to get anything in his head. If he does, he could kind of made a mistake in the track. So he's just trying to focus. That's all he's doing.
Get your head down, hit your marks, and that is what that number 14 of Digby has done quite well all night long, as he's slowly but surely pulling away from the number 3 of Tanner Sharp here. Now, with only 6 laps to go, 9 miles left in the 2019 SimPossible B-Car Series season. And for AJ Digby, he only has 1 win this season in the B-Car Series. I mean, that's pretty crazy. And that win came all the way back at Talladega on a super speedway. So he's trying to add to that tally here tonight with only his 2nd win. But if he wins it, he'll walk away as champion.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see Dave Wilson there loose off turn number 4, so he's currently in the 4th position. He's had a pretty rough night himself. Had some trouble and looked very fast out there tonight. We talked to him early on in the race, or before the race actually. He said he wasn't too confident in his ability at this racetrack, but has definitely been through trial and tribulation to put himself up to where he is now. Here's the battle for second with Kyle Zimmer and Tanner Sharp. We were talking about how that inside line just did not look good, and Kyle Zimmer just drove around Tanner Sharp on that inside line for really the first inside pass we've seen in a while. But only 4 laps to go. Does Kyle Zimmer have enough time left? And you got to think for AJ Digby, as each lap winds down, the anxiety in that driver's head has to be going up just a little bit each and every lap, because especially with these green white checkers being a part of iRacing now, before that, this thing would be over if the caution came out, but he has to worry about that, the green white checkers, and really anything else happening at this point in the race with 3 laps to go.
And we will keep an eye on the lap times between the top 2. Last time by, Kyle Zimmer about a 1/10 faster than the number 14 of AJ Digby, but the laps are winding down, and now Tanner Sharp has a run on Kyle Zimmer. Zimmer got a little bit tight coming out of turn number 2, had to back out of it. That's allowed Tanner Sharp to come back at him, and there's a side-by-side battle for the 2nd position. This is exactly what Digby wants to see, as we have 2 laps to go. The flagman puts 2 flags in the air. Only 2 more laps, 3 miles left in the SimPossible B-Car Series season.
And you got to think, as soon as he crossed that start-finish line, he knows in about 32 seconds it won't matter what happens from there on out, because the white flag will be displayed actually through 3 and 4 right now. He is down the backstretch, drives it into turn number 3, smooth and steady. That car is very fast, and I think he's got to be thinking right now, do not have anything happen right now. Out of turn number 4, white flag is out for the number 14 of AJ Digby. He is 1 lap away from the inaugural SimPossible Racing League B-Car Series Championship. Just 1 more lap to go.
And heartbreak for the number 9 of Tim Masters. He actually blew a motor just about a lap ago. He's actually off the racetrack right now, nice and slow, but all eyes are on this man right here, AJ Digby, looking to get his first career B-Car Series championship here in the SimPossible Racing League. And AJ Digby is your B-Car Series champion of 2019. There's a big wreck in turn number 1 and 2. But it won't matter, because there is your champion, the Zulu Motorsports driver.
What a good run for him tonight. There's Fernando Matos, unfortunately involved in the wreck. Had such a good run going early on for him, but unfortunately not going to be the way he wanted to end his season. But for that number 14 of AJ Digby, getting his 2nd win of the season, Peter, and what a way to do it there. A bit of a celebratory nudge from Tanner Sharp for AJ Digby, but AJ Digby, for everything he's been through, all the bad luck, everything that's happened to him, for him to come out here tonight and not have a clean race, but either way, able to come out here and take the win. Going to do some well-deserved donuts in front of these fans here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Almost nose it into the inside wall there. Doesn't matter. He's going to do all the donuts he wants and hopefully go out and get some later tonight.
Yep, he's going to burn it down here. I'm sure that number 14 going through his head is just, oh my gosh, did that really happen? Yes, AJ, you are the B-Car Series champion. And remember, last year around this time of year, that number 14 earned his first career SimPossible Racing League champion. In fact, he was the first ever SimPossible Racing League champion back in the trucks last year. So this will be his second title, which will put him level with Kyle Zimmer in the number of championships here in the B-Car, or in the SimPossible Racing League, I should say, 2 apiece. And I'm sure that number 14 is probably going to run it out of fuel here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing a bit of a Polish victory lap there down the backstretch of this Homestead-Miami Speedway. What a beautiful racetrack this is. I absolutely love those teal walls, and I wish, well, I actually don't wish more tracks would do it, because then it would not be a special thing. But this track is an absolutely beautiful facility, one of the best to race on, and you got to think that he's got to be absolutely ecstatic in that car. He's going to nose it into the wall right there, make sure it fails tech, and do the little Greg Biffle type of celebratory burnout right there, back it in the wall, and make sure that it does not pass tech. But what a season for AJ Digby. Of course, it looked so lost so many times in the season. He looked down and out just every time. He was able to come back in some ways, sometimes by the skin of his teeth. But he came out here tonight, he won the pole, he looked like the fastest car out there, he got involved in some issues there, but was able to come back and get the championship. So it's going to be absolutely fun to talk to him, and he's going to be excited about it.
And the motor has let go on that number 14 Ford Mustang, but very, very impressive run. And boy, oh boy, for AJ Digby, getting his second career SimPossible Series title will be something that he will just be absolutely elated for. He's got his monkey off his back. He had a monkey on his back for quite a while here in the SimPossible Racing League, and just could not find a way to get to victory lane. But he has done so tonight in the best fashion, walking off as the 2019 B-Car Series champion. There's no better feeling than walking off as the champion.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to ask him how he feels about it in just a moment. We're going to have interviews with the top 3 as well as the other 2 championship contenders tonight, and just have a special announcement, I believe, as well. So just give us a moment. We'll be right back in just that moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Homestead-Miami Speedway. After 133 laps of action here, we have a SimPossible Racing League B-Car Series champion, and that is the number 14 of AJ Digby. He won the championship and he won the race. But before we talk to him, we're going to get some words with our other championship contenders and some other people as well. And I believe that Chris Roberge, our special guest for tonight, has caught up with the fourth place finisher in the championship, Fernando Matos.
My God damn it.
Hello, Fernando. This is Chris Roberge from the Three-Way TV.
Hey, Chris, what's up?
Not much. How was your run there, buddy?
Great race. We had a good speed at the beginning of the race, but as soon as I got any damage, it really killed any straight speed that the car had. But great race.
Well, that's great. Well, I noticed that you were up front in second place most of the time, some of it, and in third place, and you were going back and forth quite a bit, but you hang in there. That's really well.
Yeah, I mean, we had speed, we practiced it a lot on the track, and at the end it came down to deciding 4 tires versus 2 tires. I decided to go with 4, and yeah, I mean, we had a great car in the beginning, and I think we put up a good fight.
Yeah, there was a pretty big battles between all you guys. It was pretty great there.
Thank you, Chris.
Any shoutouts there, Fernando?
Oh yeah, a big shout out to my parents, to my sister, to Max, to Johan, to Chris, who watched all season. And I love you guys. Thank you for the support. To Leah, her son, who painted my car, such a great family. Yeah, this was an amazing season. I cannot wait to get back to Daytona in February.
Well, thank you very much there, Fernando.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, that is Roberge with Fernando Matos, and definitely a great run for Fernando Matos here this season. Unfortunately, came up a little bit short here tonight, but another one of those drivers coming up a little bit short here tonight was the number 20 of Dave Wilson. And Dave put up a fantastic fight this year, got a lot of wins, but unfortunately, it just didn't seem like that number 20 quite had the pace you were looking for tonight. You tried a couple of different lines out there, and you had a couple of restarts where you got shuffled back. Just didn't seem like it was meant to be. Tell us about your race from your perspective.
Yeah, it was definitely a roller coaster ride, but I don't know. I did a lot of practice on this track and just tried out a bunch of different lines, but I know that letting off a bit earlier and trying to get a good run was definitely the way to go, but I just couldn't get that run at all tonight, and it definitely did cost me the race. But I'd say that the season was definitely a success, though. Can't go wrong being in the final 4. It's just unfortunate to have the season come to an end like this, but it was definitely, I think it was a good run overall.
Yeah, you definitely had a lot of pace all season long in that number 20 machine. Of course, you stepped away for a couple of races, and then you kind of came back, and that's going to be, of course, one of the storylines of the season that we followed since you stepped away for a couple of races. And just how difficult was it to get back in the race car after a couple of weeks away?
It definitely took a little bit since I had so much momentum going for me before the little break that I took. So it was definitely something different, and it might have impacted me a little bit, but I was very quick to get back onto it again and start winning some races and getting good finishes. But it it was definitely a fun season. All the guys raced really good, and the competition definitely got tougher coming to the end of it. I know Kyle definitely seemed to get faster as the season went on. So yeah, it was a really fun season. Had a team change and everything like that, and it went successful as well. And Team Protege was doing really well all season. So yeah, it's just unfortunate how I wasn't able to get as good a pace as I really wanted to tonight. But all these guys are definitely getting faster, and it's getting a lot for me to try to keep up with these guys. So I'm gonna have to put in some work over the off season and try to get prepared for the next season.
Yeah, of course, we're going to move over into the Cup cars for next year, present its own challenges, but definitely this league has, grown leaps and bounds in more ways than one. It really is a great group of people, and it's great to see that level of competition lead to all of the drivers in this league improving week after week. So, that kind of speaks volumes as to what this league is all about and the level of competitiveness amongst all you drivers. But we do have a guest commentator here tonight, and that is Chris Roberge. Of course, you and Roberge, longtime teammates. And Chris, do you have anything to say to your teammate?
Well, good job there, partner. And next season, we see what we can do with our team there, buddy.
Yeah, indeed.
Of course, for those just now joining us, Roberge and Dave, 2 Canadians in the league, 2 Northerners, and they definitely put on a good show, and it's pretty awesome to see them out there on the racetrack working together each and every week. But Dave, it's been a long season, and it's been a long story as well. I mean, each one of these races tells a certain portion of the story. And looking back over the season, is there any key highlight that you have from this year that kind of stands out for you?
Definitely just the road courses and how dominant I was able to be on those. It definitely boosted my confidence a lot throughout the season and helped me try to get my momentum back after the break. So yeah, I'd definitely say that the road courses were probably some of my best races this year, and most of the some of the other ones that I got were just last lap passes, and kind of lucky, just being in the right place at the right time. So the season overall, it was really fun. All the SimPossible guys did an awesome job. Jeff Schmidt did an awesome job keeping the league in order this year, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next year and the years to come. Yeah, I'd like to congratulate AJ Digby as well for his championship win. It was definitely a good race for him. He put in the practice and it showed, and he did a really good job all season just keeping up on pace. I know he had a lot of unlucky moments throughout the season, but he was able to push through it and get a good finish here tonight, and was able to win the championship.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of one of the things this playoff system leads to is, week after week, you can get into that last round with some good finishes, and then put a lot of time in, and it kind of can show out there on the racetrack. But before we let you go, Dave, any final shout-outs to give to us here on 3Y TV?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my Chris Roberge and Kyle Zimmer throughout the year, helped me out and just trying to get me in the position that I was in, and it was an awesome run for us all this season. I'm very proud of what happened throughout the season and with the team change and everything like that. So it was definitely a good call, I think, for all of us. And I'd also like to thank all the drivers in the SimPossible League for this awesome season that took place. It was definitely really fun, and we grew a lot more as the season went on. It did kind of suck seeing have to go for surgery there in the middle of the season, and he definitely showed some pace here in the last couple races as he was able to come back from it, and he definitely would have had a pretty good finish in the championships as well if he was able to be in it. However, unfortunately, some things happened and he wasn't able to do this position. But hopefully next season he will be up there again and in the top 4 for the final race. It would be nice to see him perform well as he always does throughout the season. I'd also like to thank you guys up here in the booth for broadcasting these races this season and making sure that all the fans and all of us drivers got to have a good race to watch after. and be able to see what goes on throughout the race, see all the crashes, see all the awesome battles throughout the race, and see all the awesome finishes. Yeah, it's really hard to put into words how awesome this experience was this season, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next.
Yeah, of course, moving over to the Cup cars for next year will be very, very interesting. Make sure to tune in next year here on 3Wide TV for that. But Dave, I know you came up a little bit short here tonight, but a very, very solid season for that number 20 Viagra machine. And we're looking forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you.
All right, well, that was your third place finisher in the championship. And speaking of number 3, I believe that Cameron Rich has caught up with driver of the number 3 machine who finished in the third position here tonight. That is Tanner Sharp. Cameron?
Yeah, I got him right here. Sorry to get you mid-conversation, Tanner, but third place finisher tonight. Of course, not in the championship hunt, but had a good run nonetheless. Led a lot of laps, and for saying you had no speed and no horsepower and none of that, you sure gave it a good run near the end of the race. Just came up a little bit short, but just take a steer night from start to finish.
Can I curse? Well, all right. Start of the race is absolutely terrible. From the very first lap going into turn 1, we were taking 3 wide, and we were trying to just settle in, right in the middle of the hive groove, because I knew eventually that bomb was just going to go away. And it didn't, and I don't know. I felt like I was on horsepower the entire 75 laps into the race. I'm not even joking. Like, we were even getting passed by guys who were a lap down too. And I came down to get some tires the very first time, and then all of a sudden caution came out. Okay, we're gonna take the wave around. And same thing, we're down on horsepower or something. Even though we didn't hit the wall, eventually we did hit the wall, which made it not much better. But then we decided to pit again, and caution comes out. Great. So we decided to stick with tires this time instead of taking the wave around, because we were actually wasting tire wear on that wave around. So then we got the lucky dog, and then I said, heck with it. And so I quit my Facebook live stream on Facebook, and I just wanted to focus on the race. Oh, because I think I was getting too many distractions too. So I don't know. All of a sudden, we were just picking them off one by one, just kind of driving what everybody else was driving on the same line on the bottom, and it was actually helping, surprisingly. And as the race went on, the line changed again, and then we got that track position be up towards the front, and it's like, all right, I ain't giving this crap up at all. It's time to kick it in the ass and keep this thing out front and try to contend for this win here. Enough of this faulty, glitchy, lack of horsepower bullcrap. So that's what we did, and we were up towards the front. We're contending for the win, and yeah. Sorry I didn't have an answer for you earlier, Cameron. Really, that's why I said if you were serious. So, but yeah, it was a wild, crazy, probably forgettable night. But I'm proud to come away with third place with this Perky Pints Chevrolet Camaro.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy season from start to finish. Of course, you started the year off with a third place at Daytona, and then had a bit of trouble, and then you had the race missed at Charlotte, and you won every race in the month of July, and looked unstoppable. Then the surgery, and just it was a crazy season for you from start to finish. What are you going to take from this season going into 2020? I got to think that you are going to definitely be one of the championship favorites heading into the next year and going into the A car.
This might sound a little cocky here, but all I gotta say is watch the hell out. Watch the hell out right now. I'm telling you, for SimPossible Racing League. This was a statement. This was a stamp statement, and I was going to give it to Kyle earlier, but he didn't. He just followed the same line. I was going into the corner in turn 1, and he didn't take my second place right away. So, but all I got to say is watch out for next season, because if this with us being unstoppable, then the surgery happened, and then coming back, getting at least a win out of it, and our struggles tonight that turned into a top 3 finish and also laps led. This is a statement, so watch out for this number 3 group next season. It's impossible. Well, that's all I can say about for next season. Looking forward to it.
Gotta love the confidence there, but we know you got a lot of people you want to thank through and through, so the floor is yours for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. First and most, thanks to the good Lord above for everything and opportunities, especially with surgery going well, and at least praying to get a win before the season's over with, which I did. And thanks to Will Worsler. He hooked me up to drive for his race team, Will Worsler Racing. Perky Pints is a sponsor. Slice. Thanks to Perky Pints as well. Look them up on your Google Play Store or your Apple Store, Perky Pints, or go to www.perkypints.com to get rewards at the breweries you visit. That's a cool deal right there. Slice, Mountain Dew, Shriners Hospital for Children, UW Health, the Guard, National Guard, 3Y TV, Jeff Schmidt for on SimPossible Racing League, and has a bunch of tremendous good drivers. I thought Kyle was here's what kind of group of guys we have here. I thought Kyle was going to get all ticked off at me for being in his way because he's running for a championship, and rightfully so, he should be. But man, he sent me a message and he did not curse at me one bit. He said, "Good race, man. The 14 was extremely strong tonight." That's what he said, and that goes to show what kind of drivers we have in SimPossible. So we weren't mad at each other. We were just racing really hard, and we all know we're out there to try to contend for a win. So that is a tremendous thing. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for all the praise on the YouTube chat. Seen Nikki Worsler gave a good old praise too, and Jeff Schmidt. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it, and we're gonna come back the Daytona next season. And pardon me for person, but we're all these guys, not just myself, but all these guys. We're gonna come on here and kick some ass. So that's what we're gonna do.
Absolutely, and I think that is absolutely the case for everybody. But Tanner, thank you so much for talking with us. It was a great season for you through and through, especially with all the stuff you went through. It was so good to see you come back and maybe even stronger than before. So I think 2020 is going to be a season to watch for this number 3 car.
Yep, absolutely. And wait, Peter Short, who gets that golden steer wheel? Are you going to mention that later?
I think you're going to have to cut it down the middle and share it with Dave Wilson, because unfortunately you guys tied at 9 wins. So yeah, somehow you're just going to have to share it for this year, but we'll figure out who gets it next year. How about that?
Yeah, sounds like a good deal. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. All
right. Well, Tanner, we thank you for joining us up here in the 3-Wide TV booth, and I know you're going to have some unfinished business to finish next year.
Watch out for number 3, that's all I can say.
All right. Well, that is Tanner Sharp. Being very, very confident for next year. But I have caught up with the driver of the number 25 machine. That is Kyle Zimmer. Got a couple of questions for you here tonight, Kyle. The first one was, tonight was an absolute crazy race. There was some awesome racing out there on the racetrack. Unfortunately, you came up one position too short. But I want to ask you kind of, what are your thoughts about tonight's race?
Yeah, definitely a crazy race, and starting off second, sort of keep it, put up with 14. But at the long run, they started falling off. Tire wear a little bit. Was tight in the center and out, and then once hit a caution, then we had another long about 30, 40 lap drain. Noticed the clutch down and made a little bit of changes on the car. Definitely got me up the corner and kind of readily. I think I used up all my rear right tire up, and we were loose. So we had a caution. Tried to pass the AJ 1.8 lap 70 or some of that, so he got into him. Concentrated for that, but glad he was able to recover. Yeah, we started back and back up to front. Tried everything at the end. Couldn't do anything, but yeah, just one short, but he deserved it all, I crashed through him, had a heck of a race. I couldn't even pass him or anything. I had nothing for him, so. But I'll take home second tonight.
Yeah, definitely a very, very valiant effort out of that number 25. Of course, you did lead a few laps here tonight. Very, very strong night for that number 25. Just unfortunately, one spot too short. But over the season, you won quite a few races. You won 7 races this year in the SimPossible B Car Series. You know, I was saying this a little while ago. This season is like a storybook. There's different storylines that we follow. Each race is its own chapter in the story, but looking back over the season, is there anything that's kind of a highlight to you across all the races that we ran this year?
I would definitely say being consistent. I think I had maybe, I think today was my third top 10. My definitely highlight was definitely I had won, I think, 3 races in a row. That was pretty impressive to do. And yeah, I mean, whole season was a great highlight. I mean, just being up there at the front, trying to battle for wins. Honestly, I never thought I would get 7 or 8 wins I had this season already. Yeah, my favorite one probably would be Darnellington. I think I swept both races that week. That was one of the iconic tracks of NASCAR, so it was really cool to win there. And that's why Indianapolis, that was pretty cool. But whole season was a great season. Able to come home second tonight. One spot short, but still something they proud of, and I'm fortunate to try it again.
Yeah, and speaking of next season, we actually do go over to the 8 car, and the 8 car is a slightly different beast. It's got a little bit less horsepower, a little bit more downforce, at least for now. We'll see if the package changes in the next few months. You know NASCAR, it happens to change. But what are your thoughts about running the 8 car, and are you looking forward to it?
I'm actually pretty excited about it. Cup cars it is a lot different, especially with NASCAR changed the car package, and it sounds like they're keeping it next year, so I'm already kind of prepared for it. Throughout the race officials, so yeah, we'll definitely be the other learning curve for each track next year as well for the cup side. I mean, definitely gonna be try to be up the front a lot, and most likely, track position will be races most likely. I think we'll see a lot of exciting races cars next year. I'm very excited for it, so but it's gonna be pretty quick off season, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, we're definitely looking to it here on 3 Wide TV as well. But before we let you go, Kyle, do you have any shout-outs for us here on 3 Wide TV?
Oh yeah, I definitely like to shout out to you guys broadcasting this all year long. I also want to thank Jeff for creating this thing. Great season, and I also want to thank everyone who participated, especially tonight. Last race before next year. I also want to thank my Hey Tracy for support, and I also want to thank who coming on the board next year. Sim Graphics and BW Design will be my main sponsor for both Xfinity and Cup Series next year. I'm happy to have them on board next year. I also want to congrats to AJ for winning the championship at the race today. Well deserved. Definitely looking for that season. Can't wait.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is your runner-up this year in this SimPossible V-Car Series, the number 25 of Kyle. Thank you for joining us here once again in the booth. All right. Well, I think it's just about time, that time we've all been waiting for. And that is the number 14 of AJ Digby. And I believe Cameron Rich has caught up with your 2019 B-Car Series champion.
Yeah, I got him right here. AJ Digby, do you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, you got to be pretty happy about that. I can't say that race went perfectly smoothly for you, but either way, you started off on the top and you ended up on the top. Just kind of talk us through your night from start to finish, because I'm sure you have a lot to talk about.
Well, it said all year, I'm very consistent. Don't usually finish in first, but I'm consistently top 5, usually third, sitting in the podium. And I said all year, that's all I need. I only have to win one race, and this is the one that mattered, and this is the one I was able to come up with. Did a lot of practice time over the course of the week, and wasn't really that fast. Did not feel good at all, and jumped into an extra practice session this morning and found something. Don't know really where it came from, but all of a sudden found something that gave me a consistent 10th and a half. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened tonight. But that extra little bit of practice that I last second jumped into this morning really helped out, paid off. Was able to find that extra speed, and then ultimately was able to do what my goal was, which was to keep the car clean, no damages other than, well, I think 1 point, and then the contact with Kyle. But other than that, I only touched the wall like once or twice. Like, I was able to keep it off the wall, keep the car clean, and move forward with the race. Once I was able to get up into the clean air, I was able to hold on to it and come away with the championship.
Absolutely, that was a great drive there, especially from after the contact there with the 25 and you going sideways out of turn at number 4. But you look to be one of the fastest cars out there tonight in the beginning, and definitely there at the end. You kind of just pulled away, and kind of just tell the viewers here on 3TV what was going through your mind there when those laps were clicking down. You got about 5 laps to go, and you're in the lead, and you know that anything can really happen at that point. Is that kind of were you just focused on hitting your marks, or did you feel a little bit of anxiety thinking that something might happen?
Well, once I got past center and got the lead, first off, I wanted to get a little bit away from them, kind of give myself a gap. And once I got to about that half-second, 6/10 gap, I could have kept pushing and tried to make it a little bit more, but at that point it was like 10 to go, I think, and I was just focused on keeping it as clean as possible, holding that half-second gap. Didn't really need to push it any more than that, and tried to keep the car as straight as possible, but I'll tell you what, I was praying for no caution, and then with 2 to go on lap 132, that's probably the hardest lap I've ever drove, just trying to get to the white flag before something happened, and I was able to got to the white flag, and then once I hit the white flag, then I backed off a little bit because I was at a 7/10 gap and knew that I just needed to come home with the lead, and was able to do that. But some of the most tense parts actually were when it was back with like 30 to 20 to go, and I was kind of back in the pack because in the dirty air it was so tough to pass. I did whatever I could to try to slingshot around to the outside and slingshot engage, if you will, to get to that outside, and that was where I was able to make most moves. That was where I was able to make it work. So I wanted to be out there. It just so happened that after that last caution that I was the outside guy in second place, and then was able to have a really good restart. Kudos to Tanner for driving real clean and keeping his car off of my car and allowing us championship guys to go, and I was able to get by cleanly and drive away from there. But the most tense laps were with 2 to go, when I was driving as hard as I could to get to the white flag, and then back when I was trying to work my way through the field, because I didn't want to over push it and ruin my race and other people's races, but I also knew that I had to try to get up to the front. So I was trying to take my time, make my pickings, and be able to do it.
Well, that means you were the inaugural Truck Series champion, and now you are the inaugural B Car Series champion. And it looks like that next season we're going to have an inaugural A Car Series coming up. So probably a bit of a good omen for you. But you got to wonder. Of course, this being your second win of the season, and your other win coming at Talladega, which probably not akin to your driving style, what I would say reflects your driving style, so a bit surprising on that part. But what can you take out of this season into next season and kind of use as a springboard or a learning experience to go into that new season?
The weirdest thing is that the B car is, at least in my mind, more challenging car to drive than the A car, so it's going to be an adjustment driving with a lot more downforce and driving the A car. I haven't really done much on it, so luckily I have a little bit of time to be able to do that. The biggest thing I would be able to take away is just to not panic and just keep calm, keep pressing forward, because there are times that this year where I knew I had the speed. I mean, I think I had 8 poles. I think I had the most top 5s of anybody, and that was including I missed like 4 or 5 races for different reasons here and there. So the biggest thing is just to not panic, just keep going forward, because with this playoff format, all it can come down to is one race. You got to be able to get there. But even that first round of the playoff at Richmond, I got bumped around a couple times, ended up finishing like 11th or 12th. It was like the first time not in the top 10 for me, and it was a real hard time for me to have to be playing from behind to try to make it on to the next round. But yeah, just to keep practicing. Like I said, I found that extra little bit. I can do that next year and practice somewhere and maybe find an extra little bit to move on, and just not panic and keep the car going forward. And eventually things played out in my favor, and that's probably the biggest thing I can keep going into next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely is something to look forward to. But got to ask you, AJ, you probably have a lot of shout outs you want to give, a lot of people you want to thank for everything that has gotten you to this point. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, so for shout outs specifically, Zulu Motorsports and those guys for cheering me on. I know Robert Elder was in the chat tonight. Bobby was cheering us on. Kevin Vollmer, he curls on Wednesday nights. He was my spotter for most of this season, but he has curling on Wednesday nights. So he did not make this race, but I know that he was cheering me on. He also is the one who designed the beautiful Zulu Motorsports Ford Mustang. I got the Robert Wickens red on that car, and then also the Robert Wickens Race for Wickens logo on the back of it as well. So that's kind of important to me. I love IndyCar, so that's important. I have to thank my grandma, Madge, and my girlfriend, Savannah, for watching and cheering me on tonight. Anybody else who was watching and cheering me on, Brian Newton, I see, was in the chat. He's another Zulu guy. I know Terry was another Zulu guy who cheered on. So specifically all those guys. Brian also was my spotter at points throughout the year when Kevin couldn't up until these last few weeks. Other than that, full to everybody in the league for a great season. You guys for the fantastic broadcasts, and I've basically spent this time waiting for the interview, watching this race, at least the second half of this race. So I've already seen about half the race, but it was fantastic, and can't wait to watch all of it once I get there. Jeff for the league, everything that he does organization-wise, putting up practices for us, it means a lot to be able to have this group of dedicated disabled drivers put on shows like this. Is not possible without him, and without him getting us all together and getting you guys on board to help with the broadcast. So huge thanks to him. And then lastly, I would like to know if we can call Will Worsler up into the broadcast booth.
Yeah, we actually were about to do that as soon as your interview was over. So gonna ask Peter or Chris, do you have any final words for the champion?
Just want to say congratulations, AJ. Thoroughly deserved. Great run here tonight, and that's what it takes to get it done as a champion. Chris?
Peter?
Yeah, congrats there, AJ. So proud of you, buddy.
Thanks, Chris. It was fun racing with you all year, and hope you helped out the broadcast booth pretty well, and missed you out on track, but it'll be exciting to have you there next year.
Oh, you will. Don't worry.
We'll go ahead and get Will in here real quick.
And in fact, here he is. And Will Worsler, Peter Short here in the 3-wide TV booth, and we've all been eagerly anticipating the news that you have for us. So come on, buddy, let's spill the beans.
Spill the beans. Yeah. So yeah, I've been kind of busy this week between my other league and SimPossible. It's keeping me busy here. But so I'll start off with.
Okay, more.
I don't know if AJ alluded to it or not yet, or already or not, but his team Zulu Motorsports and WWR have reached an agreement to a partnership for 2020. So he's going to be running with Tanner and for me, and I've also agreed with Fernando Matos and Nate Catilla. So I'm going to be fielding four drivers in the SimPossible Cup Series next year.
Well, that is absolutely awesome. Great to have Will Borser racing over here in the SimPossible Racing League, and it's awesome to see how this league continues to grow. And I just brought up league owner and organizer Jeff Schmidt. And Jeff, I caught you just in the middle of a conversation there, so sorry about that, guys. But Jeff, I mean, you know, with people like Will now coming over, strong supporters of the SimPossible Racing League, another fantastic season has come to the close here. You know, what is going through your mind? I mean, you know, Will has done a great thing coming over here, supporting these drivers, and now expanding his presence.
Yeah, I mean, we have amazing friends here. It truly is awesome. The drivers in the league, the friends that we've made in and outside of the league, it's really been amazing, and I couldn't be more blessed to have these awesome friends, to make friends with everyone, and for everyone else to get along as well. You know, guys like Will and Wayne coming in here to spot and be part of this, that's super awesome. Like, I love that. I think that, you know, I would love to have more guys like Will and Wayne join us. And if someone would like to be part of this, then they're more than welcome to come join us, man. And, you know, they'll definitely have to be put through the ringer, because I know these guys have. And I mean that in the best way. But it's something that is not for everyone. It's unique. Everything here that we do is unique, but those that will make it through, like Will and Wayne, they'll have a good time, and doing something right for the right reasons. That's really cool. It's really awesome.
And Will, you know, you've just heard that from Jeff Schmidt, but well, what was it specifically that kind of drew you to this racing league, and what has it been that has kept you around?
I mean, it was easy, dude. I found out about SimPossible just because I had watched some of the replays from my league that you guys cover, and then it suggested it on YouTube. So I turned it on and watched a couple of times, and it honestly took me two or three races. Glad you're happy, Carlos. It took me 2 or 3 races to realize what the league was about and what exactly it was that I was watching. And if you once you know that and you watch these races and you can see a discernible difference in their abilities and the amount of cautions that come out one week versus the next week, and the improvements you see, and realize what's being done and the way it's being done, how can you not draw inspiration from that? And how can you not apply that to your own life? And it was a very easy decision for me to get involved once I realized I had an opportunity to. And so, you know, that opportunity, the only person that I had ever talked to that was involved with the league was Tanner. So he was obviously the first one I talked to about it, and me and him kind of hooked up. And then once his medical situation became what it was, Fernando reached out to me and asked me if I would help for the rest of the year, since Tanner wasn't going to be back, or he wasn't planning to be back. And you know, me and Fernando really hit it off as well. And I had a practice where we opened it up. I held a private practice and opened it up to all of the SimPossible guys that wanted to come that day. And I just kind of helped everybody out. And I was, before I knew it, I was having fun. So I kind of decided what direction I wanted to go, and what guys I wanted to be involved. And luckily enough, the guys that I asked, AJ and Nate and Fernando, all wanted to join what me and Tanner were doing. And I'm going to try to do some interesting things with the team YouTube channel, and try to help them out, and see what we can do competition-wise next year.
Yeah, definitely been fantastic into this season for a lot of drivers, and it's been a very, very entertaining season as well. And Jeff, you know, speaking of entertaining season, man, what an absolute spectacular race tonight. I think that is a fantastic bookend to the 2019 B-Car Series season, but kind of retrospectively, you know, what are your thoughts of how the season has gone? And you know, what are your thoughts from where can this go? Like, you know, this league has continued to grow in its 1 year, just over a year since it was originally formed. What can this lead to?
It can lead more. It can lead to something that no one could ever imagine. The sky's the limit. It really is. And I truly believe that this league is more important than pretty much anything ever that has happened in simulation sports, simulation motorsports. I mean, whatever have you, esports. I mean, we are on the cutting edge of something that's so spectacular, and we have the best guys to do it. I mean, all of our drivers, they're fantastic, not just as drivers, but as people. I mean, they're truly great friends. They're awesome people. They're people that I'm blessed to be part of their friendships, and it's something that I would never ever take advantage of or think that it was anything less than what it is. So literally the sky is the limit, Peter. It's slowly growing. It's slowly growing, but it's gonna eventually we're gonna take off, and it's gonna be big. It's gonna be really big. You hear all these things with NASCAR and the guys that did iRacing, and then they're NASCAR drivers and this and that, blah blah blah, whatever. But this is really something truly different. It's something that is going to take off to the point to where I may not be able to handle the load of it myself, and will look for people to help. I mean, I really do think that we're heading in the right direction for the right reasons. And you know, it really starts with the people that support us, 3Wide TV, with you guys helping us out and doing what you do with the commentary. Peter, you're amazing at the commentary, and so is Cameron. And
I agree.
It's been amazing, man. You guys are so awesome at doing what you do.
Yep.
And I'm just watching it. I mean, yeah, I created this and I do a lot of work and, you know, behind the scenes, but I'm watching it unfold in front of my eyes, and it is something that it's very humbling to be part of this. And again, it is for the right reasons that we do this, and there's a lot of people that benefit from it. So it's something that will live on in my eyes forever. Like, I'm never going to give up on this, and it's something that's going to get bigger and bigger. And I hope that people, the people with the right resources, I hope will come to us to be able to help us out with certain things, like we have been helped out in you know, previous times with yourself with 3Wide TV. I think that that's going to continue to happen, and I think that we're going to be blessed in a way that people are going to come and realize what we do, and this thing is going to be much bigger.
Yeah, possibly a little bit of technical difficulties on the end of Jeff Schmidt. Hopefully that can get all sorted out. Jeff, you there?
Hello.
Yeah, there's a little bit of possibly some connection issues there going on, but...
Hello, 1 2 1 2.
Oh, there we go. That's perfect. There we go. Now you're back. Continue on saying what you wanted to say.
Okay, well, yeah, that might be a blessing in itself that the mic cut out, because I was catching myself mumbling a bit there. But no, the sky's the limit with all of what we do, and the people that have been part of this. It's been so spectacular to be friends with these people and to see this all unfold in front of our eyes. It's truly been a blessing, and I can't wait to see what happens next year with it. We're going to continue to do what we do. The sky is the limit. Never give up. That's one of the things that we really push, is don't ever give up no matter what. You push through whatever you deal with and make the best of the situation that you have. And I think having the field of drivers that we have, and the talents that they have, and the disabilities that they have, that's pretty much showed everything. I mean, the driving speaks for itself. When you have guys out there with the disabilities that they do, and they do what they do, and they don't complain, they don't say, hey, this hurts or that hurts, or I have a problem with this or that. They literally don't ever complain. And then you get people in your day-to-day life that complain about everything. It puts a perspective on a lot of stuff. So it makes you think about what's really important and what's not. It's very humbling. For sure. So it's really cool. I'm extremely happy to be part of this, and you know, I don't look at myself as league owner or organizer or however you want to put it. I don't look at myself that way. I look at myself as being just part of this and super happy to be part of it. And I really hope that the drivers are having fun, and I know that they do. And all that we want is for everyone to have a good time, and it is happening. I mean, I know it is, but anyone with a disability that's on the iRacing service, if you want to come join us, please feel free to come join us. Send a league invite to, or a league, fill out a league join request rather to SimPossibleRacing.com. I'm sorry, my dog's making noises in the background, and I think Will's Facebook's going off.
Oh, y'all can hear that? Sorry.
I'm just messing with you, Will. But no, please go to SimPossibleRacing.com and fill out a driver sign-up form at the bottom of the website. And if everything is legitimate and we find you to be appropriate to join the league, we will have you out here racing. We're looking so forward to next season, man. What a great race tonight. AJ Digby did a heck of a job. You know, clean air was super important. I know that's probably something that you were going to ask next, but yeah, congrats to AJ Digby on his championship.
Yeah, fantastic season. Before we let you go, Jeff, you want to give some shout-outs for the league?
Yeah, absolutely. The drivers of the league, of course. Without them, it wouldn't mean anything, and we love every single driver in this league. They're very talented, and you know, no matter, again, like I was saying before, no matter the disability or whatever problems drivers have in their real life, once we go racing, that doesn't matter anymore, and there's no complaints. It's really cool, man. It's just really cool. There's no complaints about anything. When we're racing, it's racing, and that's all that it is. We're just racing. And then afterwards, you know, whatever happens, and whatever. But, man, I'm so passionate about it that I'm losing my mind, I think, a bit as well. I think that happens here and there. But, no, shout out to the drivers' families, too, for helping them out. You know, a lot of the drivers in this league do need help from time to time with different things, you know, no matter what it may be. Thanks to the families for helping them out, for caretaking, for being part of their lives, for helping them out with the disabilities that they do have, to allow them the opportunity to race. Because that's really cool. That in itself is something that should be recognized, and it's not. A lot of times people really disregard caretakers and people who help other people out a lot. So they deserve just as much, if not more, than anything that anyone else would deserve. And a shout out is very much warranted for them. So thank you to anyone that's ever helped out anyone, whether it be a disability or maybe something else, like someone's going through a trouble with something and you're there for them as a friend. Like, that's very important. It's very important to stick by the ones that we love and to help them out with whatever troubles that they have. So that's really cool. And you know, the people that do that, they're awesome, man. I mean, it really is cool. Thank you guys again, 3Wide TV. You guys do a tremendous job. I thank you before. I'm not sure if the broadcast was working at the time when I did thank you for that, but I will thank you again, and I'll thank you 10 times over, and it will never be enough. Peter, Carlos, Cameron, thank you so much for everything that you've done for us. You're truly awesome friends, and you've done a lot for us, really, you have, and we really appreciate it. To be able to watch these races after the race, it is something truly amazing for the drivers and for the fans, friends, the family. It's something super cool. Thank you to anyone that's ever helped us along the way since we started this thing a year ago. Thank you to the guys like Will and Wayne who have come out here and help spot and help the drivers out. Man, that's really cool. And if you do want to help out that way, then you can just contact me. Just get a hold of me, Jeff Schmidt. I mean, whether it be Facebook, SimPossibleRacing.com, SimPossibleRacing@gmail.com. Get a hold of me. If you want to help out, you can help out. You can be part of this. It's something really cool to be part of, and it's going to grow. It's going to really rapidly grow. I have a feeling that next season is going to be our big one. It's going to get big, guys. It's going to be really cool. I'm super excited for it, and yeah, I mean, I'm just super thankful to be part of this and to call every driver in this league a friend. It's been an amazing thing. we couldn't have better drivers in this league. Other leagues be jealous.
Yep.
Because we really have some awesome guys here. It's something truly amazing. And the reason we started this was for drivers with a disability to not feel bad, to not be judged, to have a place to race without judgment, But it turned out to be more of a community that we started that is just something really.
Let's see if we can get Jeff Schmidt back. Jeff Schmidt, Peter Detroit, got a copy?
Yeah. Hello.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I apologize if that's on my end, guys. I don't think it is, but I apologize either way. But anyways, guys, I hate to take up all your time. I'm just very blessed to have everyone and anyone who's ever been part of this to be part of it. We really have some amazing people, and I'm truly blessed to have them in my life and in everyone else's life. And the drivers are amazing. They're super talented. Can't wait till next season to see them run again. It's awesome.
It is absolutely awesome to see these guys out here in the field, or out here on the racetrack. Completely different sports there, fields and racetracks, but whatever. Nonetheless, Cameron, you and I, we've seen lots of different racing leagues in our sim racing career. And I mean a lot. We've seen probably 20 or so. And out of all those racing leagues, SimPossible Racing League is the most self-sustainable racing league. Yes, Jeff, you do a lot, but the cohesiveness amongst these drivers is something that is unrivaled by any other racing league, and kind of like what you said, other racing leagues should be jealous of you because of that fact. It's a great camaraderie that these drivers have here, and it is an honor to be a part of each and every week. Cameron, do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I would just want to say any league is really only as good as its drivers, and that's one of the reasons why the SimPossible Racing League is thriving like it is, because everybody that is involved in it is, really good. So I just want to say, Jeff, appreciate you kind of taking me on, like better part of 2 years ago or something like that, and it's been a really fun time being a commentator for this, and just really I'm excited to kind of see where myself goes as far as being on the 3-Wide TV team and just seeing this league grow. So thank you for that.
Absolutely, it's a great group of people to be a part of. Of course, we did have a guest commentator here tonight, and that is, of course, one of your drivers, Chris Roberge. And Chris, anything that you want to say to Jeff before you let him go?
Well, I would just like to say thank you very much getting this all organized for us, for Jeff. It's so grateful. If we didn't have this, we won't even be racing. We'd be getting put down. It's kind of nice having someone that cares about us, no matter what kind we are.
Oh, Chris, you're very welcome, man. And yeah, again, I mean that's. I don't take these things lightly, so that is a huge compliment, and I appreciate it. But in the same token, Chris, I'm very, very, very fortunate to be friends with you and everyone else. So I don't take this lightly. I think it's the coolest thing ever, and I can't wait till next season so we can all do it again.
And of course, they will do it again with the A car instead of the B car, so that is something to look forward to. But it will be a couple of months until we hit the track at Daytona for the A car series season. But Jeff, any final thoughts?
Yeah, just very grateful to be in the position that I'm in, to be able to have made this in the first place. Something that probably should have been done before I did it. But again, I mean, you can't look back at things like that way. So I'm very fortunate to be able to do it. Let's just say that, and have the friends that I have. I think it's the coolest thing ever. I really do. I love it, and I love all of our drivers. I love our friends. I love our fans. I love you guys in the broadcast booth. It truly is amazing, and it's going to continue to be. Things are going to be pretty progressively looking up from here on out. I mean, things are going to get bigger and bigger, so I can't wait to see the growth of the league because we have grown big and it's going to continue to grow big. So that's pretty awesome.
It is definitely very, very awesome, but we're already looking forward to next year here on 3 Wide TV. But to yourself, Jeff, and of course all the drivers, hopefully can enjoy the off season a little bit and relax a little bit now that the pressure's off, and of course do it all again next year.
Absolutely. We'll be back in February, guys. We're going to have a little winter break here. Of course, the league drivers will still be racing. We'll still have some fun races and whatnot, but on the broadcast side and for the fans out there, we will be back in February, and we can't wait. We'll see you at Daytona. In the meantime, everyone have an awesome end of the year and awesome Christmas. Have some fun. Don't ever stress about anything. Don't take life for granted. Don't ever think that the things that you have aren't good enough, because there's people with less. So always be fortunate for what you have, and be fortunate for the friends that you have and the family that you have. That's all I have to say, and we will talk to you guys soon.
All right, Jeff, have a good break yourself, good holiday, good Christmas, good Thanksgiving, and all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll see you in bright and sunny Florida in just a few months. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have just about one more thing lined up for you here tonight, and that is to go through your race results after this very, very long post-race. And Cameron, AJ Digby got that win, got the championship doing so. Great run for him tonight, very, very quick. Kyle Zimmer, 1 spot short, finishing in the 2nd position. Tanner Sharp brings the number 3 machine home in the number 3 position. Dave Wilson came up a couple spots short, comes home with 4th, but won 9 races this year. Very, very impressive. Doug McCollum, and Doug McCollum was actually down a lap at one point in this race, and he comes home, finishes in 5th. A very quiet night from him. And Doug, if you're still watching this, man, I'm sorry we didn't mention you here tonight, but very, very respectable run out of that number 33 machine. And Doug showed some pace this year, so expect to see him strong next year. James Efall, relatively new to the league, comes home 6th here tonight. Good run for him. Eddie Hawks, 7th. We saw him up near the front early in the show. Billy Wise comes home in 8th. Tom Johnson, 9th. And Kevin Cochran rounds out your top 10, Cam.
Brian Lowhead comes home in 11th place. Fernando Matos looked so good for him early on. Unfortunately, not able to seal the deal. Coming home in the 12th position. Nate Catilla, same with him. He looked to be one of the fastest cars on track. Had some trouble there. Made a couple laps up. Got his way back up to 1 lap down, but finishes in 13th. Tim Masters had a good run going as well. Comes home in 14th. And Johnny Brody starting the night off about 18 laps down and ends there as well, but came out there nonetheless and had some fun to finish off the season. But I think that's all we got for you guys tonight. I want to give a couple shout outs from 3 Wide TV from us. First off and foremost to all of you viewers, whether you watch live or the broadcast. Without you, 3 Wide TV would be nothing. And of course, especially to all of the chatters in the chat. It's a very active chat tonight. Good to see all the friends and family of the SimPossible Racing League come out and keep us company. Definitely good to see that. I want to thank SimTV for these cameras that we've used all season long. Of course, cameras are what allow you to see things, and would not be the same without those awesome cameras from them. Kyle Heyer and Finian DeCunha, both good friends of 3 Ride TV and a very awesome broadcast team themselves. And want to give a shout out to Thomas Morris from OCR TV as well for these graphics that we use each and every week. But that's all we got for you guys tonight. And what a fantastic race that was. What a fantastic season that was. And it's so awesome to be a part of something like this. And I'm very thankful myself to be able to call myself a friend of the SimPossible Racing League. So you got any final thoughts from yourself, Peter, or Chris?
Just gotta say, it was a fantastic season, and very much looking forward to next year. Chris?
Yeah, well, same here. It was a great season for all of us. I know it was long, but it shows us how accomplished we get to how well we do for a long season. And thank you so much for you guys too. We're all family.
So after 33 races of this inaugural SimPossible Racing League B Car Series, that is the final chapter of that. So from myself, from Peter Short, from Carlos Costa, and from our special guest, Christopher Burge, I want to wish a very big congratulations to AJ Digby, your 2019 SimPossible Racing League B Car Series champion. Wish you all a good night, a happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we will see you in February.
See ya!